Hello everyone, good afternoon. So sorry about me being like 10 minutes late. Sorry about that. I was trying to get Stardew, the mod, to work, and it wasn't downloading, and I had to make a whole new like account for Nexus. And by a whole new, I mean I've never made one because I don't use Nexus to download mods because I only mod The Sims. Stardew is not my game of choice. I just wanted to play it because it seemed fun. But when I tried it with Peach, it wasn't fun because of the fishing mini game. And I just wanted to make fishing easier, so I downloaded a mod for fishing, and then I downloaded another mod so that I could manage the mods in the actual game and not like outside of the game to make it easier for me. And so that's happening. And then my internet decided to be slow, which was never an issue. I've never had slow internet, and it just decided to be slow now. So that was also a thing. But let's not dwell. And let's get back into this. Last time we left off, we're on the last day of our vacation with Derek. I don't fucking remember what we're about to do, but we're about to do something. And then my family and his family are coming over to his apartment, and I think that's the tea. That's the story. Okay. Got this. During the drive, Derek's brain was in sharp focus. We should make sure everyone knows that the get-together will be for dinner, a late-ish dinner. I'll leave it to you if you want to tell the gang about our own plans for the day or keep it a secret. I don't know if you want to deal with everyone asking why they weren't invited, but they are a lot more grown-up than they used to be. Sometimes I forget that. Oh, I didn't turn my closed captionings on. So sorry. The effort of keeping it hidden doesn't seem worth it. Are you kidding? I'm bragging about this. I'll just tell them. Great idea. I'll say hush hush. It's our secret. I don't remember what we're doing, but it's our secret. It's a secret from me and a secret from them. He put a finger to his lips. I won't say a word. You can't tell everyone everything all the time. Oh, we're going to the pier? The boardwalk? Yeah, okay. After a long ride and some struggles with parking, Derek had to resort to circling like a vulture until a spot opened up. You and Derek were strolling under a wide blue sky into a bustling boardwalk. The boardwalk amusement park was as dizzying and dazzling as it was 10 years ago. Music was playing from storefronts, screams blared out at the peaks of the coaster, and crowds of people were laughing and talking from all sides. You knew as soon as the scent of the sea and fried food struck your senses that this was the right call for your last stop on your trip with Derek. At your side, Derek spoke, soft and sentimental. We made it. Took us long enough. Together, you stepped forward further down the path. For a place that felt so alive, it was almost uncanny how little had changed over the years. The bike rental store was there, though they also offered shiny new electric scooters. You gotta move with the times. There were still vibrant stalls offering a variety of fair foods, and the two big rides, the roller coaster and the Ferris wheel, continued to tower above the bustling crowds. You were sure of one difference without needing to see it. The face painting counter would have a total stranger running it. Xavier had moved on to decorating cakes rather than children's cheeks. Still being there was a time machine to a summer long gone. You and Derek were two teens once again. He got your attention with enough boyish excitement to confirm it. What do you want to do while we can? We'll have to leave pretty early to make it back for the farewell dinner. But we can ride the rides, grab a treat, browse some stores, or hell, we could rent our own bikes if you want. His pure enthusiasm made frowns outright impossible. You chuckled, the joy vibrating through you coming out. Your first time at the boardwalk was an experience. It was a huge trip. Both of your parents and siblings had been there, but separated into two groups. I don't remember doing anything. I think we got our face painted, and then we had to like take care of Nicholas. So I don't think we did anything. We might have gone on the Ferris wheel. We might go on the Ferris wheel just to be cute about it. For better or for worse, you went all across the very boards currently under your feet. Meanwhile, the adults hadn't had their heels on the floor. They were fit into pedals. The shock you felt learning they'd gone off on bikes without a care in the world was as fresh as ever in your mind, and that wasn't all that lingered within you. Important decisions about face painting, Nico being carried around like a sack of potatoes, snacks on the bench at the sunset, and the Ferris wheel. Viewing it not only in hindsight, but as an adult made the moments even more significant. They were precious. You'd never experience your first time here again or what it was like to be 13 when the world was only beginning to open up wide. Even so, your thoughts weren't completely tinged in rose. A fuzzy blanket of nostalgia couldn't make you forget how it almost wasn't a nice time. How it only got to stay good because one person cared enough to make certain it did. How Derek Suarez cared more for others than himself. That remained starkly true about him more than a decade later. For the brief time he'd been in the area, he gladly let Nicholas direct the activity multiple times and did his best to not let Jorge feel left out. Derek gave up going to the water park so he could attend a business luncheon on his father's behalf. Along with looking out for his own family, he never let that supersede your comfort or wants, and he accommodated your sister too, after he put in all the effort to help her come see everyone. You weren't sure he had fun being a part of his misadventures, but most times he'd been a passenger in the exploits despite having to be the person who drove everyone else. That answered Derek's question for you. I think that you shouldn't ask me what I think. This is your day to enjoy the boardwalk after spending your whole life making sure everyone else had fun here. Derek's grin collapsed open. A crease formed in his brows. He was stunned and very touched. While the appreciation was unmistakable, he hesitated to accept such an offer. You don't have to do that. It's your vacation, and you've missed out on stuff too. Okay, but I want to do what you want to do, okay? You weren't surprised by that response, but it didn't play like a rejection. He only needed some extra encouragement, like a kid who thought it was bad to open a present before his birthday, even if he got permission from the giver. And it's your vacation too, a working vacation, but still. Eye contact temporarily failed him. Derek watched his own foot scuff at the spot where one slab of wood met another. A downturned face didn't hide the wide smile across it. Thanks, Kingsley. You're welcome. Don't thank me yet. Have some fun first. Gradually, his normal confidence returned. It wasn't a mistake. He wasn't doing something wrong. He could simply enjoy himself, and he would. Okay then, if you're positive, sure. Want to get our faces painted? We've got to start the day right. You know what? Yeah, let's get our faces painted. What are we gonna get this time? Are you gonna get a basketball? What did he get last time? I know it was some sports ball, right? It was either a rainbow or a sports ball. Woo! Derek spun in a half circle and resolutely thrust a hand ahead of him, straight towards the chosen destination. I'm gonna get whatever I want. It could be anything. Sky's the limit. The cheer in his voice and the shimmer in his eyes was better than any thrill the boardwalk could have offered. You almost had to feel guilty yourself. He'd done yet another favor by allowing you to be the one who did him a favor. Okay. That tended to be the way it went. You weren't complaining about that particular dynamic. Hey, you getting one? Of course I'm getting one. What do I look like not getting my face painted? Cool. With no time to lose and a plan in mind, you and Derek went to the old face painting stand with the new artist. Christ. Welcome. I've got a free spot if you see something you like. The painter was far less glamorous than Xavier, but no less friendly, or worse at their job. If the new example photos were to be believed, they had their own flair and the strokes and color of choice. You ushered Derek into the seat. It was his day, and for once he was going to go first. After you. He appreciatively obliged, strutted ahead, and hopped up onto the raised chair. Derek had no embarrassment over being an adult at a face painting stall. It was nice to see. Oh, excellent. What can I get you? Derek took a polite glance at the offered styles on display, though didn't need any time to decide. How about a shooting star? Good choice. The artist wasn't simply being polite. Well, they might have been, but shouldn't if they were. Derek beamed like a star himself. Nothing could have fit better. Taking it from point to point before attaching a long tail, soon Derek's cheek was emblazoned with a bright star streaking across his face. I cannot make a star to save my life. You know how I learned how to make stars? Sorry, side tangent. Blue's Clues. When I was younger and I watched Steve draw, I was so entranced. I was so jealous. I was so fucking jealous. And I learned how to make a star that way. But I can't make a star like the regular way when you do like the point, like line, stop, like that. I have to do it like a zigzaggy thing. That's the best way I can describe it. And then it looks like a star. But then I probably have to color it in. Or like maybe erase the inside lines. That's the only way I can make a star. Okay, side tangent over. Taking it from point to point before attaching a long tail, soon Derek's cheek was emblazoned with a bright star streaking across his face. But they hadn't finished yet. The stall had upped its production value since you were there last. The artist added a finishing touch of glitter to the centerpiece and painted sparkles over the basic tail. Okay. Whoa. It was a pleasant surprise for Derek as well. Does Derek give you Knuckles vibes? I'm sorry. Whenever I hear Derek's voice actor and I look at him, he's giving Knuckles, like Knuckles from Sonic. That's just me. That's just me. He gives me Knuckles vibes. He'd been sure what he was getting and ended up with more. Hopefully that would be a pattern of things to come. Thank you. Derek shook the hand of the artisan vigorously before bounding out of the chair to show you. Check it out. Not bad, huh? Honestly, I always thought the shooting star was the coolest. It has the most going on out of any of the options, but it's not exactly Nico's style. I would beg to differ. I feel like Nico would love him a gold star now. It feels very fitting. You deserve a gold star. Oh. He let us snort while only barely stopping himself from slapping his freshly painted cheek. I hadn't thought about it like that, but I say that you're right. But he twisted on his heels and took 2 steps backwards. The front of the stall was clear and Derek was in place to keep watch. Your turn. Cool. You walked under the large umbrella that covered the stall and settled into the paint-splattered seat. Hello, what can I get you? It was a difficult question, but after some serious soul-searching, he said, ooh. I don't know, shooting star is kind of a vibe, you know? Whiskers and a painted nose, that's too much. I want a shooting star too. I want a shooting star too. Of course, you'll be a wonderful pair. For the second time, at least, with you and Derek, just, just in case we get lost. It's nothing like I'm in love with him or anything. It's just in case I get lost, I can be like, have you seen a tall man in whatever the fuck he's wearing? Is that a sweatshirt vest? It's red, and he has a shooting star on his cheek. It matches mine. It could be like that. Just in case I get lost. I'm known to get lost. I have a terrible sense of direction. For the second time, at least with you and Derek, it might have been their dozenth of the day, the painter put their talent into action. You'd forgotten how tickly bristles felt being drawn over your skin. You wondered how you managed to stay still for this in the past, or how even younger kids did it. It might be because the process wasn't too long. You were in expert hands. While you'd been distracted by the unusual sensation, they had finished. Sleeveless hoodie. Okay. I really did not know what to call that. But thank you, Darius. Also, welcome, and how are you doing today? Your shooting star was topped off with a dash of glitter, and the piece was complete. Ooh, I get glitter? Okay, wait, did Derek get glitter? You know what? Fuck Derek. I don't care what he got. I got glitter. You spun into the mirror, and the artist angled at you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. When he rejoined Derek outside of the stall, he admired the charming composition. It got a thumbs up from him. A classic. You paid the artist for their work, just you, since you were covering Derek, and he certainly wasn't paying for you. And then it was back into the thick of the park. I feel like my shooting star looks better than his shooting star. That's just me. Derek was on his way, and you were relieved to have him directing the chorus without a reminder to do so. Why is it fuck Derek? Because I couldn't think of what his, like, hoodie sweater thingy was called. That's why. Since we're here, we gotta ride the roller coaster. I don't want to ride the roller coaster, but if you want to ride the roller coaster, babes, go do that. Go do that, all on you. Still, old habits of consideration couldn't be completely forgotten. He tempered his existence and tacked on an addendum? Unless you totally hate that. I do hate that. I do. Sorry, I do hate that. I won't stop you. You should ride, but I don't want to. Yeah, I figured. Derek already had a compromise on his lips, but you had your own. I promise I'll watch you go. I can cheer when the car flies by. It'll still be fun. He sighed through a smile and dropped his shoulder with mock defeat. Fine, you win. I'll do it your way, which is my way. Thank you for the consideration of yourself. What do you second? You shared a laugh before the adventure was back on course. The thrill of your own master plan propelled you through the crowd, flying past the souvenir shops and food stands so fast you could imagine you did ride the roller coaster. The line was wrapped around the whole base of the coaster, but neither of you intended to give up. You could stand by Derek until the moment of arrival. Derek restlessly bounced from heel to toe and repeatedly clasped and unclasped his hands, sometimes shaking his fingers out. His behavior was more appropriate for someone about to jump into a big game that they'd been training all their life for. But Derek had already gone through the kind of experience for real, so it was fitting for him. The thick row of people filed forward at a gradual pace. Derek shot out eager chatter when he got to move. He held on to his high spirits the whole while, and eventually reached the boarding platform. Derek took his place in front of the track, and the employees let you pass over the exit of the other side. On the other side, you caught a glimpse of Derek squishing into the roller coaster car before you went running down the curved path back to the main level of the boardwalk. Not much of a roller coaster guy or a thrill in general. You know what? I'm not either. When we went to Disney World, like was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago we went to Disney World. And this is so funny. I cannot do thrill rides and Gil has motion sickness. So we went on all the kiddie rides. And he wouldn't get on the teacups with me. I wanted to get on the teacups. He almost didn't get on the merry-go-round with me, but I made him get on the merry-go-round with me. But he said he felt sick afterwards, and I'm like, I can't. But like, we went on the Dumbo ride that goes like up in the air, and I tried to keep it low the whole time, and he had fun on that one, but I was screaming my head off. So why'd y'all go? Because I wanted to go to Disney World, and I wanted to go on all the cute rides. What a silly question. It was also during Halloween time, so I wanted to go do the Halloween stuff. I don't do thrill rides. I want to go on all the cute little kiddie rides, and then he doesn't do theme parks and stuff like that. It's not his vibe, but he goes because I want to go, because he loves me. But yeah, and like, he had fun on the Dumbo ride. We got into a fight in the line on the Dumbo ride, but that's neither here nor there. But I was screaming my fucking head off on the Dumbo ride, and that's a kiddie ride, right? I hate heights. I can't do heights. It was so terrifying. I was trying to keep the little Dumbo low, and at the end of the ride, all of the cars go up and like down, and that shit was so fucking scary. I'm never going on that shit again. The only reason I went on it before is because when I went to Disney World when I was really young, me and my dad went on it, and I remembered being terrified then too. And I was like, you know what? Memories, but no, never again. If I ever go to Disney World again and I have a child with me, I do not give a shit if they want to go on that ride. I'm not going. They can bring their dad. The coaster came clattering down after you at a breakneck speed. You threw your arms in the air and jumped as high as you could. Like, I'll wait in line with them, but I'm not getting on that ride. I refuse. Your form would be a blur gone in a blink from his perspective, but that didn't dampen the fun of it. You had a great view of the twists and turns Derek was zooming over. Once the car cranked to a crawl and rolled into the station, you headed to the exit again. I did go on this other ride, like, in Epcot. And it's like, it like brings you into the air, kind of. And like, it's not like I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of terrifying. I had fun, but it was kind of terrifying. Derek and the rest of his fellow riders came down in a group. I don't remember what it was called, but it was in Epcot. In the little, like, around the world eatery place. He spotted you and dashed past them in a beeline to meet you halfway. That was fun. Honestly, Epcot was kind of fun. Epcot was, like, out of all of Disney, like, we only went to 2. My brother went to, like, all of the parks, all the Disney parks, because, you know, he's balling like that. But Epcot, I didn't think it would be fun, but Epcot was fun. I would recommend Epcot. Also, they have alcohol at Epcot, so, you know what? Do you know? He's out of breath and buzzing with energy. You waited for him to collect himself. Also, I met Mulan at Epcot. I was tearing up. I love Mulan. She's my favorite Disney princess. Like, I know it's not the real Mulan, it's an actor, but like, you know, I got caught up. After ruffling his already completely tousled hair, Derek sighed happily. This is not about my time at Disney World. That was great. Yeah. You began to drift over the boards again, heading nowhere but encouraged forward by the tide of the park goers coming through. He grinned over at you as sweet as a mouthful of cotton candy. What do you want to do next? Wait, no. What do I want to do next, right? Exactly. Good job. It's all up to you still. Derek and you joined in with the laughter filling the park. Force a habit. Don't worry, I can keep reminding you. It's Derek's Day. Derek's Day, huh? I like the sound of that. He cast his focus up to the sky. Derek traced the edges of his jaw using the thumb and pointer finger. It reminded you of the way Mr. Suarez would stroke his beard thoughtfully and respectably. Derek was missing the facial hair, but the effect was the same. Oh my gosh. What does Derek Suarez want to do? Are you hungry? I mean, it is my stream, but I want to get through this fucking game. I can talk about Disney another time. I want to get through Derek's route. We've hit the roller coaster and face painting stall. I'm not huge on the refreshments here, honestly. They've got bikes and the scooters, but you can do that almost anywhere. You don't want refreshments? Ain't it hot outside? It's summertime. On top of that, time's running out before we have to leave, so he's been going somewhere and stopped himself. That was also a pattern of his. When Derek spoke again, it was quite wistful, more for himself than in conversation. Probably shouldn't stall any longer. That's not responsible. What? I'll tell you this time, but before I do, let's ride the Ferris wheel. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Lead the way. I would like a drink. Can I get a drink on the Ferris wheel? Can I get a lemonade? Can I get a Sprite? What is that? Strawberry ice cream? No thanks. Alright, let's go. Derek glanced around to get the lay of the land. You wandered far from the coaster and entirely lost touch with where you stood in the park. But your new target was the tallest structure for miles around. There was no trouble in determining the path towards it. Together, you made another crossing of the boardwalk. The line for the Ferris wheel wasn't as jam-packed as the first ride you stopped at. Far more guests could fit at a time, and it was simply less of a draw to the high-energy guests attending the park. You couldn't get on immediately, but the wait wouldn't take long. Derek's attitude standing there was in stark contrast to how he behaved on the creeping crawl to the coaster. His feet were firm on the ground. A ride attendee got the door for both of you. That didn't mean you couldn't add your own touch of cordialness. Please, you first. How kind. You promptly climbed in. You carefully got up to the 2 steps in the car after. Derek sat on the right bench, the same side he picked the last time you were there. I'm gonna sit next to him. Derek squished his shoulders up around the sides of his face in a childlike excitement and welcomed you to the seat with a grin. No, that's so cute. That's cute. He's blushing. He put an okay sign for the attendant. Then the employee closed a tiny elevated room. You were fully encased inside. It muffled the I feel like I've seen this word before. Rauciousness? I need to look this up. How do I say this word? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Precociousness. I don't know why seeing this here messed me up for not being able to sound this out. It muffled the precociousness so much you could believe the entire world had suddenly faded away. Glancing out the window showed that all was well. The car rocked forward and you lost all your nerve to look outside. You and Derek were completely unreachable there. For the duration of the ride, it was only you and him. That was freeing in a way. Derek seemed to think so too because it got him to talk without reservation. I know we didn't get to do all that much here. We're finishing up and the sun hasn't even started to set. But even still, this has been the best trip of the boardwalk I've had in years. He poked at a small chunk of glitter on his cheek that clumped together and stuck out from the rest. Damn, I was hoping I was the only one with glitter. It's not rochiness. It's precociousness. I hope you know I really appreciate it. You're always looking out for me. I'm happy to. You deserve to have someone spoil you. The Ferris wheel continued to go around on its set, unchanging path, always forward, never back. Even in the brightness of a summer day, a shadow fell over Derek's face. You succeeded in making me happy. Is it alright to ask if you had fun too? I'm having a wonderful time. This is so like you. You're very sweet, man. You nodded earnestly. Of course, any time with Derek is a good time. You merely shrugged. That is so like you. You know it. His gaze dropped, and his voice was low, heavy with the weight of emotional strain. Thanks to you, I finally got to feel like I did when I was a kid for a while. For a little while, sorry. That means a lot. It's what I've been chasing since I got here. The big park, all dark and empty, Derek's pain confession. The scene all flashed through your mind, his words rung out. How he felt he'd lost so much and could never get it back. Maybe that wasn't entirely true at all. True after all. The soft smile on his face was exactly the same as the boy you once knew. Hey, remember that time you stayed over at my place and we camped out in the living room? Talking about the future and our dreams? The Father's Day thing might have... Oh, sorry. That's my place. The Father's Day thing might have been more of a bombshell, but I haven't forgotten the rest of that adventure. Yeah. Same. We had such grand plans a decade ago, huh? Now we're here and I have no idea what I'm doing. Derek pressed himself into a heavy metal wall behind the seat and slumped down it. I wonder what my 13-year-old self would have done if he called a psychic and they told him where his life would have actually gone. Maybe demand a refund? Come on, Derek. Everyone knows you're too polite to ask for your money back. You're right. But I would have thought about it. I'd have made a great speech in my head about how it's only fair to not have to pay for a reading like that. No, you pay for what you wanted. You got what you wanted. You got a reading, and you pay for that shit. No refunds. Derek's voice faded out, replaced by the sound of his fingers tapping against the seat. One after another, they played a rapid beat like the fluttering of a heart. Sucks that there's no way to actually know what's gonna happen in the future, huh? At least today was fun. A good break from having to be grown-ups. Yeah, he said it was a good day. I wonder when we'll see each other again. Thanks for letting me do this. Boo, I want to be a kid forever. Thanks for letting me do this. You wanted to appreciate that you had the chance to come for a short trip. Nothing could last forever and you had a great run. It's nothing. He grinned, staring at you head on. Give me a quick second. Where is it? Here it is. Hey, you should come by again sometime whenever you want to, or can anyway. Whenever? You're sure about that? Yep. It's my apartment. I'm an adult and I can say that Kingsley Roy Joe is allowed to visit all the time. He declared it proudly with a faux air of haughtiness. Was that me? Felt like a wheeze. If his pitch had been a little higher, the statement would have been a fairly accurate imitation of Liz. It was all more than a little silly, but the smile growing on your face stopped short of becoming full. Derek's bold-faced confidence was only pretend. Regret remained hidden behind every smile. I'm not gonna be too busy for you anymore. I figured out what my actual priorities are way later than I should have, but I did. Part of that is being someone you could actually count on again, so my door is always open. Since you've been here, I've finally started to see a future I want to have. I've thought about it more and more, and it keeps coming back to the same thing. I don't want to be this far away from you. Oh? Elaborate. That was it, all along. The entire time you've been staying with him, and even before you'd actually arrived, those were the words Derek had been holding back. He didn't restrain them any longer. I was hoping to be closer to you when I lived in the next city over. Being neighbors was my dream. I wasn't totally kidding about that. But I wasted all my years we had being a manageable travel distance from each other. I pushed off facing you for real until I reached a perpetual moving goalpost. Not them saying you're rocking the sleeveless hoodie. I had to take time to read what Frosty Toll said. I regret that. I still do. I don't know if it'll ever stop pissing me off. Derek caught that his long-held anger began to carry him. He squeezed his eyes shut and forced a shaky, though steadying exhale out. That's not what matters, though. I can't redo the past. I've got to focus on what I can do. And what is that? I could move. I could live next to you now. Oh? The clawing darkness of the past faded under the shining hope of a better tomorrow. Well, let's slow it down some. You should move cities just for me, you know? Unless, you know, you want to be with me in that way. But, like, we can just come visit each other. If we're just being friends, we could come visit each other more often. We don't have to move that close to each other. You would never catch me with such nonsense. That's... I mean... Would I move for a partner? Yes. Would I move for a friend? It depends. It really depends. Am I just moving just to hang out with them more often? No. But am I moving to like help support them in something that they really want to do and they need this extra support? Yeah, sure. If I'm financially stable to do that. But just to hang out, girl, I'll see you on the holidays. Don't even worry about it. I'll see you on your birthday. I'll see you doing your most important life stones. Life stones? What am I trying to say? Milestones? Milestones, not life stones. But you do not need to move. Unless you're going to be a business partner. You can buy into the business. Why not, right? It's not as if I'd be canceling any amazing plans. I gave up everything before you got here. Okay, but what about your family? What about Nico? Nico, you just yesterday, Nico was crying about not being able to see you guys more often. So this would be the best time for it. I don't have to renew my lease, and the career ideas I do have could come with me. I could start them somewhere else. I remember when I got here, Derek, and you told me, hey, let's pretend we never made that pact. And then I pretended that I was okay with that. And now you wanted me to not be okay with that? You're sending me mixed signals. You're sending me mixed signals. Or, I know you're next to Cove, but if you've been wanting to come back to this area for more than a vacation, I could keep the apartment you could move in. Okay. Okay, but what about Cove? What about Cove? Me and Cove, we live together, don't we? Don't we live together? Don't we, like, share an apartment or whatever? Depends on where they are. If it's worse, then no. You know what? Also that. I'd be like, hey, you could move near me. If you have something going on, you can move near me. But like, just to hang out is crazy. Just to hang out is crazy to me. Maybe he'd want to move closer too, but I'd be up for whatever you are. I mean, I feel like Cove would love to move back here. We could be there for each other I can't. We could be there for each other day by day. For the first time, Derek had expressed the whole and honest truth of what he wanted for his life, for himself. It wasn't about his family or only for your sake. But even then, Derek couldn't help pre-compromising his preferences. He doubted the appeal of his hopes to anyone other than himself. I get it if you think it'd be overkill or if you're still worried about how it'd work out. It wouldn't have to be forever. I mean, I feel like we have an online business. I don't feel like we have a brick and mortar store. So you know what, if you're okay with me like overrunning your apartment, then sure. Sure. Maybe we have a warehouse, but I don't know how big my business is. I don't even remember what I do. I don't even remember my business. He winked, cheeky and familiar. I'm not saying you'd marry me. I'm not asking you to marry me again. Okay. I would marry you anyway, Derek. Maybe it lasts for only a year and then we'll have new plans. I'm gonna need time to figure out long term either way. So that's it. Derek's new plan. What do you think? Fuck your plan, Derek. Like, it's perfect to help you house hunt. One critique, you don't need to find a place, you can live with me. Derek, I respect what you want to do, and I don't want to stop you. Are you kidding? I'd kill to live in that apartment. Would it really be alright for me to live with you? I'd love to visit again, but I don't think it's a good time for either of us to move. So you were right. Shut up. Shut up, Darius. You know what? My life is more set in stone than your life. So you can come live with me. Where's my mouse? It was obvious. As soon as he'd said it, You'd question why it took this long to realize you could simply be near each other if you wanted. In the next instant, you remembered why. Neither of you pictured the other feeling the same way. You imagined Derek was pursuing his sports dreams and never would have interrupted that. He saw himself as unworthy as others' acceptance until an abstract level of success was attained. But those days were behind both of you. The answer you gave and the dazzling smile it gave Derek was proof of it. Really? Yeah. You nodded with complete resolve. There wasn't any doubt. There wasn't any need for doubt. Absolutely, Derek Suarez. Well, I have to say his whole government name. Woo! His arm shot up as he whooped a victorious cheer. Unfortunately, the Ferris wheel car wasn't built for that kind of celebration. His fist cracked directly against the metal ceiling of the cabin. Are you okay? But he laughed heartily, shaking off his smarting knuckles. Nothing was going to bring him down. He started to ramble off moving logistics and preparations that need to be made. Informing the landlord that he wouldn't be renewing his lease was paramount, but he was positive she wouldn't mind. Most of what he had was still packed from his prior move, so that would make the process easier. And once again, he expressed gratefulness that he hadn't furnished the apartment himself. It was dry, grown-up responsibility stuff. Yet, it sparked more excitement in you than any amusement park could have. Derek was able to rein in the frenzied babbling long enough to extend a hand towards you intently. You understood what he meant by that. The place, the time of day, the terms, so much of the situation was entirely different from the first time Derek had made you an offer, but the feelings behind it remained the same, an earnest desire to not be separated. Oh! Hands! You took hold of one another securely and shook it. The path of raging heterosexual is straight, pun intended. Shut up. Shut up. Deal. Wow. He slowly let you go before staring down at his hand in a wide-eyed disbelief, as if it wasn't his. But it was. Derek had taken his own life into that hand of his. You believed he wouldn't lose hold of it ever again. I actually did it. His scuffed fingers curled into a fist. Then he lifted his intense green eyes to your face. Derek had grown and he'd held himself back. He changed and he'd remained himself. He developed into an adult he should be proud of, and he was still the boy you met 10 years ago. It was all true at once, and it made you happier than you could say. I'm feeling better about the future already. Thanks, Kingsley. Derek had gained a genuine confidence. He trusted his own decisions now that they were made to seek the best instead of to hide from the worst. Nothing in the world was more heartening than that. I am too, Derek. Derek satisfyingly stretched out his arms in front of himself. He'd learned his lesson about moving them higher. Well, I might not really know what I'm doing with my own life, but I've at least got a first step. I've got to get packing. I can settle more of it later. You shook with the swaying of your personal cabin of of laughter too. Derek snickered at himself, but clung to a piece of the prior seriousness. It is a relief, though. Feeling good about what's coming next is more than a few days ago. And 23 is not that old. There's plenty of time left to work it out. You got things more figured out than you think. The world is our oyster, Derek. I absolutely agree. You don't need your whole life planned anyway. They got thumbs up for you. The world is our oyster, Derek. Looks like it. You're usually right about stuff. Oh, thank you for thinking that. For the first time in his waking hours, Derek was completely at peace with himself. Your spirits had flown straight to the moon like a pair of shooting stars, though physically you were still in a gently drifting cabin and its position was on the decline. The wheel's turn continued to slow until it came to a full stop. Derek's joy was replaced with an utter horror in an instant. Shit! He threw himself to the window and pressed his face against it, but Derek could only watch in stunned disbelief as the first of the cars unloaded lower down. The ride was coming to an end. When your cabin arrived at the bottom, you took your turn to dismount. The same attendant gestured toward the tall-framed exit gate and thanked you for coming. Doing as instructed, you left the Ferris wheel behind you. Derek picked up his pace, bounding with each step to get ahead. He didn't go further into the crowd. Instead, he jumped right in front of you. He paused, foot in midair, at the sudden and quite solid obstacle in your path. His arms were folded, his eyes intent. Sup, Kingsley? Wow, it's you. We haven't seen each other in forever. Derek grinned boldly as you curiously peered down at him. Would you want to ride the Ferris wheel with me? What? You blinked and put your foot down, as used as you were to repetition in relation to the Suarez family. That one caught you off guard. What the fuck is happening? Whether this was Derek's impulsive side or his secret long game planning side, you couldn't tell. Maybe a bit of both. Yeah, what a surprise. Derek chuckled self-consciously. The shock had to have been clear on your face. It didn't stop him. He rambled on and on without taking a breath. But honestly, I know we just did that and we had a whole big talk, but there was something else I planned on saying. I thought I'd be able to go over it all, but then it went so fast, but I can't say it any other place even though it's important. The most important. If we can do this one more time, I'll never ask for anything again. Well, I'd ask you something, but it would be different, I swear. Then his entire face closed up and he finally sucked in some air through his nose. When his eyes opened, they were wide and pleading. Of course, he'd be a pro at puppy dog face. It was in Derek's genes. Thank you. I'll tell you when we're there. Okay, and you said it was straight. Look at this path right now that we're on. It's not straight. It's getting curvy. It's got some loop-de-loops. It's looking a little happy, a little gay. A brand new promise lingering in your heart. You looped around with the see, it even said looped around the width of the Ferris wheel to get in line once again. When the line thinned and you reached the front, you got into another car. Derek took his usual seat on the bench set towards the right side of the entrance. He gestured a hand towards the left bench, asking you to sit across from him. Blasphemy? It's seeming like it's not blasphemy. He's moving in with me, and what is he about to do? Probably ask me to be his boyfriend, not get married, unfortunately. Unfortunately. It'd be nice if I could face you more easily, was his reasoning. This had to be serious if he didn't want to welcome you right by his side again. But you took a spot alone on the metal panel. Whatever you want, Derek. I feel like I'm about to have a job interview. You sat quietly. You had an idea of where this might be going. It was thrilling. You had an idea of where this was going. It was nerve-wracking. It was thrilling. I'm thrilled. Give it to me. Your heart thumped hard. Your stomach dipped. Were you on the Ferris wheel again or the roller coaster? The sensation made more sense for the latter. Derek didn't fill the space with chatter as you were used to. Instead, he made use of his requested vantage point to watch you intently from across the small room as the rest of the cars filled with guests, each having their own story that led them to the Ferris wheel that day. In a way, you and Derek were only one of thousands, nothing special at all. The attendant who'd let you on the ride hadn't even seemed to realize you'd been there minutes before. But in another sense, you and him meant a great deal. You were both irreplaceable depending on who was looking. The way he watched you with unflinching focus, it was clearly apparent which view he held. The silence was all-encompassing, but the strength of his gaze kept your rapt attention. It was only once the Ferris wheel began its slow spin without interruption that Derek truly began what he'd set out to do. He placed his hands on his sides, fanning his fingers across the bench for balance, and he leaned in towards you, physically showing how he was ready to open up. Before anything, I want to thank you. Derek Day was awesome, and you're awesome for doing that. You're welcome. Derek was happy and bright, grinning as you always pictured him in your mind. It was difficult to imagine as overly serious, even when you'd seen it in person seconds before. But it's not even just that. Today isn't half of it. Doing chores, running errands, making me feel so much less shitty over how I quit. And can I also mention And can I also mention real quick how cool it was that you cared about me and what I was thinking instead of pointing out that I was irresponsible or wasted such a great opportunity? What are you talking about? Like, you quitting? Babes, if you quit, then you felt that that was not right for you. I'm not gonna blame you for that. You did what you had to do. You saw what you needed to do. You took a step back. And that's your journey, babes. That's your journey. That's your journey. That was a big deal to me. But the smaller things matter too. You stayed up even later to help me when I absolutely had to put those groceries away right then. He laughed without reservation, talking about you had a way of bringing out his boyish enthusiasm. Then on top of all of that, You're good to my family too, even when we get dramatic and have our issues. They're a major part of my life, always will be, so seeing how you get along with them is, well, let's say it tips the scales for this even more. Okay. So, where we going with this, babes? A special something danced inside his bright green eyes. It was as if he'd realized himself for the first time what he was actually doing. I don't want to leave anything out, but I should get to the point. I'd die of embarrassment if I ran out of time again. Derek's wink made you crack a smile. He had a way of bringing out a pure joy in you, too. But his expression soon shifted. Derek put his game face on. It's gotta be now. His voice was low, dangerously close to inaudible. You didn't want to miss any of it. Kingsley, my dream hasn't changed. My actual dream, not the dream of being the best at some sport I didn't feel like a failure. I mean, the one I told you about right here almost 10 years ago. That evening came back to you in an instant. It was the first time you rode the Ferris wheel. You had a very similar view then. Derek had been right where he was sat now, but so much smaller and with his baby brother asleep in his lap. The sunlight had been fading, shadows pressed in around you, and Derek whispered his hidden hope while you were almost all alone. Picturing the scene and reliving the words he said, the first drop of the roller coaster inside you was coming. Derek had no idea what was going on with your thoughts, or if he did, he wasn't letting it psych him out. He was someone who did what he set his mind to, and his determination was resolute. It's always been what I really wanted, even when I was pretending it wasn't. I still want, someone on my side, who's there for me as much as I'm there for them. A partner in life. You told me back then I had that in you, and I couldn't believe it. Literally. Admitting that was the only shake in his single-minded declaration, he had to pause and offer an apologetic smile. I honestly didn't think it could be true. It was nice to hear, but I wasn't going to hold you to it. Which was extremely dumb because you were the person I was thinking about the entire time I was saying it. Derek's hands flew to the sides of his head and gripped it. He wanted to shake himself for that. That's why I told you and not somebody else. The muscles in his legs tensed as he pressed his sneakers heavily against the immovable floor. There was nowhere to go, and that was the only reason he stayed in his seat. So instead, he used the energy to pull his radiating emotions into a single point and put that into words. I couldn't admit it. I couldn't admit when I felt then, or even how you felt it too, but not anymore. So for once and for all, I'm going to say what I've always thought. Derek's premeditated positioning came into full effect as he stared you down straight on. Okay, this is making me nervous. Please don't stare me down. Oh? Okay. I love you, Kingsley. I want us to be on a team, to face problems together. Not because there's no one else, but because there is no one else. And you can do that with what you want. You can do with that what you want. Christ. Then Derek let out a sigh and slumped in his seat. How did you react? He didn't know. But he'd already accomplished something for himself simply by having the courage to tell you. Now you're being a hater! Darius, just embrace it. Embrace the love. Siri, play Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I'm joking, Siri, don't do it. Stop.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Girl, I'm not. Leave me alone. What did they do to your boy? They made him pansexual. That's what they did. That was it. You met his gaze steadfastly. That was it. You went over to sit right next to him. That was it. You kissed him. That was it. You hugged him. That was it. You took his hand in yours. I'm really, really sorry, Derek. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. Kiss him! The distance wasn't needed anymore. You broke the cardinal rule of theme parks. Don't get up from your seat while the ride is in motion. Fuck that. Your feet were unsteady in the dangling cabin, but your nerves were even. After a couple hunched over, semi-waddling steps, you dropped into Derek, landing your lips against him. His skin heated up with tingling goosebumps. You pushed yourself off and glanced down at him after a wonderful moment together. He managed to help you into an actual seat on the bench, embracing you in the process. Alright, so that definitely means what I think it means. Derek spoke with incredulous awe. As obvious as it was to both of you, it didn't seem possible. The old feelings you held on to since the original day at the boardwalk and even before that were as alive as ever. I love you too. I love you, Derek Suarez. Yes, it does. I meant it then and I mean it now. Better late than never. I'll take it. I can't think of anything better than being there for you and having you there for me. Better late than never. I'll take it. Those words froze Derek solid. He stopped breathing. He didn't blink, and the stasis lasted long enough for you to worry over his oxygen levels. His face might have been blue under all that red in his cheeks. A deep breath through a crooked grin was what finally broke his rock-solid features. An unexpected perk of picking this spot is that I can't get up and sprint around for 10 minutes. That wouldn't have been a great reaction, but probably exactly what I would have done if I could. That is exactly like you. I could go for a run myself right about now. You gave his leg an understanding pat. You sighed with equal parts affection and long-suffering. You were too cute. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't do that. You're too cute. He let out a shaking breath, completing the process of breathing only once over an entire minute. It is so gay. That's the entire point of this. It's so gay. It's good. It's good and it's great and I love it. Well, since a nice jog around the boardwalk is out of the equation, I'll have to do something else. Oh? What do you plan on getting up to in this tiny enclosed space? Keep your clothes on, guy. His eyes were alight. For one example, I could kiss you. Okay. As long as it doesn't go past that. I like that. That works. How about a hug? No. Pippi Seppi, welcome in. How are you doing today? You just missed it. We just kissed Derek. You open your arms for a hug and said, I'm sorry, that's nothing I really want. I'd like that. He took your hands into his without hesitation, not question, hesitation. You gripped him back and leaned closer. He met you halfway. Your lips touched, first lightly then with more confidence. His were pulled up at the ends the entire time. The first time you'd ever kissed Derek was when you were barely teenagers, hanging out at the old park and making plans for the future as well as you could then, by making the backup deal. The second was only a minute ago. Your way to once again tell Derek that you wanted to be his and for him to be yours. He was perfectly fine pretending not to be. Here you come strolling back in his straight line. He needs to be who he needs to be. Let it out. Let it out. He doesn't need to be in the closet anymore. Both were important, but this one, a reciprocal kiss, born of mutual affection, was the very best of them. However, you had a feeling there'd be many chances to outdo it in the days, weeks, and years to come. In the thrill of the moment, Derek's excitement got the better of him. His legs kicked up and he smacked his heels against the bottom panel of the seat. A clattering sound vibrated in the tiny metal room and it reminded you of the precariousness of your positions. Derek got the same wake-up call. You were still in the middle of the Ferris wheel ride, and bouncing off the walls wouldn't be the best plan. Words. You're quite dandy as always. You got some used books from the series you've been reading. Ooh, how many books was in the series again? Like 20, did you say? I have no idea what book series you're reading. I forgot. But I remember you were reading a book series. Like 60? Oh my god. The guy who sold them to you sent them in a cereal box? How thick is that cereal box for one? And how tiny are those books for two? I meant to tell you, I went to IKEA like a few weeks ago and I had this, like, what's it called? Lingonberries, I think they're called. They're so tasty. I want some. Send me all of your country's lingonberries. I think that's what they're called. I don't remember. I know it started with an N. Yeah, the lingonberries, I think that's what they're called. Send me all of them. Export them to me expeditiously, please. The books aren't too big. Okay. Cause I'm like, there's 60 books. I think they're lingonberries, or they're lingonberries, or lingonberries. There's something they start with the L and they're very tasty. I thought I wouldn't like them, but I had them. I had them at IKEA. That shit was banging. He pulled your mouths apart, keeping you squeezed against his chest, and glanced around wide-eyed to check the situation. Then he giggled joyfully, no less carefree. I take it back. This wasn't a convenient place for a confession at all. If I really was as good as preparing as I claim, I'd have picked somewhere that wouldn't rock if you moved around. Is he trying to get with me in this tiny little car? Babe, the best I can give you is a makeout, maybe a grope. But other than that, that's too much. That's too much. This is too much. And that one didn't have a 10-minute time limit. You both laughed, and Derek shook his head at the whole thing. Oh well, it was unavoidable. It was? Yeah. The cabin you were in was once again looked over, up and down, but Derek's motivation was different. He wasn't checking for damage or to see if he was about to knock you both out of the sky. He was nostalgically drinking in the scene he'd found himself in. You know what'd be good right now, Derek? A lemonade. Or a Sprite. That'd be good. Or a slushie. Everybody outside, are they fighting? Honestly, it's pretty embarrassing, but I didn't want to ask you out any place other than here. Or really, I didn't think I'd have the fortitude in a different location. Not even in your own apartment? Would that feel too cagey for you? Because this feels a bit cagey right now. Because what if I said no? What would have happened, Derek, if I said no to you? You actually bought some Christmas berry scented candles? Ooh. Well, okay, are Christmas berries also the lingonberries? IKEA probably has something similar too. We might go back to IKEA. Because we need to go get a thing, but I have to clean out the closet first. And I don't want to do that, but I know I have to do that. And I might do that next weekend, not this weekend. This weekend it's not happening. I got shit to do this weekend. Let me look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Because I probably got it saved on my phone. Because when I tell you, yeah, it's lingonberries. That shit's tasty as fuck. I had the little jam, then I had the drink. I was like, wow. Wow. They're doing something right over there. It's pretty scenic, right? Sorry. They're all right? Brother, what are you talking about? They're all right. Bro, that shit slaps. That shit slapped. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely made with lingonberries, but I would drink that drink every day. I would. Like, it didn't have a lot of sugar in it, and I like my drinks sugary sweet, but I was like, you know what? This is enough. This is enough, and I would drink that every day for the rest of my life, if I could. They probably sell it at IKEA, but who am I to be looking around IKEA for the drink? Not someone who wants to be at IKEA all the time. Also, I have to get that that shark and that bear. And that's gonna take up all of my drink money, you know? And mainly, it's the place where I started seriously imagining my future to be with you. Nico was there, so I couldn't ask you if you liked someone or if you wanted to get married in the future, if we're still single, of course. I ended up doing that in the park a little later. I mean, we could have went back to the park. But it was here when it happened in my head. I promised myself that if the two of us ever ended up truly alone in a Ferris wheel, I'd split it up before the ride was over. And then you didn't. It was a secret deal I made with myself. A backup to the backup. That never happened until now. Partly because going out to the boardwalk isn't exactly practical. It's even further away than the water park, so it never came up. The other half of it is because I was avoiding the exact set of circumstances. I avoided all Ferris wheels everywhere. If it came to this, I'd have to break my vow or actually do it. And the joke here is, after all of that, I still didn't get to do it the first time. We had to go around twice. Humor softened into endearment, and chuckles faded into gentle whispers. But we made it. Through all the years and all the miles between us, we got back here. I think that counts for something. It was a beautiful sentiment, though, of course, he was Derek Suarez, so his childish spirit couldn't stay quiet for long. And I did do it, and now we're together. Woo! Oh, wait, there's one final thing we should probably talk about, or talk about again, really. Should I stay in the apartment I've got for now? They're fine as a drink, but you're not too big of a fan. You often have lingonberry jam with liver casserole or reindeer stew. Now hold the fucking phone. What is liver casserole and reindeer stew? Do you guys eat reindeer? Like, is that, like... I'm not shaming you for eating reindeer. You know, every place, every location has their specialties or their main foods. Is reindeer a specialty? Or is that, like, a food that you eat often? Like how here we have like cows, chickens, pigs. And like we have like lamb. We don't I don't think lamb is a food that we eat often here, but like lamb is like a specialty. I know some people eat like deer and alligator and stuff like that, depending on the location that you're at, but I've never had deer, I've never had alligator, but my grandpa did. My grandpa said alligator tastes like chicken, so. My grandpa grew up in the South. And I only, it's so sad. I only knew him when I was 4. You've had alligator too? Oh, okay. Do you agree that it tastes like chicken? In an Australian grill, I don't think, if I went to Outback Steakhouse, I don't think they would have alligator on the menu. It does taste like chicken? Okay. Good to know. But like, yeah, is reindeer like a delicacy? Like something that you have on occasion? Like, or is it like, you know, like a regular export? And whose liver is in this casserole? Cause I had the jam with Swedish meatballs. I didn't think I would like it cause I'm like, but when I tell you that shit slapped, that shit fucking slapped. I need to add that shit to my everyday meal. Would moving be moving too fast now we're in a different kind of relationship than we were a few minutes ago when it was decided? Well, I'm gonna do it faster. Oh my god, not that being my actual answer. I still want to do it. Yeah, let's worry about that later down the road. I have to think about it more. You know, along with his caution, you shake your head at his worries. I move very fast in my relationships. Rudolph Gumbo. No! Not the Rudolph Gumbo! Your grandma made the best reindeer stew with mashed potatoes? So I'm guessing it's something that you have often, okay. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know if that was like a thing that you have often there or if it's like a special thing like for special occasions. I want gumbo. Gumbo is good as fuck. My step grandma, she makes some really good fucking gumbo. No, it wouldn't. I wouldn't. Let's go faster. Faster, faster, faster. The only thing better than living with a friend is living with my boyfriend. We can kick Cove out. We can send Cove to the Cove. He can hit the road. We've got a deal again, or still, whatever. We've got it. Thanks, Derek. The red nose adds a flavor. No, shut up. You shifted and snuggled to get into the angle that optimized closeness and comfort. Derek linked his restless legs with yours to keep them content with something other than wild bucking. A freshly made couple enjoyed the comfort of the other's presence and bliss. Though not for long. The ride once again came to its end much faster than Derek's taste. He sighed with great tragedy as the first of the passengers began to dismount lower on the wheel. You were the same mind. Staying on Cloud 9 with Derek for many revolutions would have been perfectly welcome. When your car was at the bottom, you and Derek returned to Earth side by side as you had left it. However, nothing was the same. The world was an entirely different place now. Free from the metal cage that kept him restrained, Derek leapt out and high-fived the tall decorative gate over the exit. Merrymaking wasn't entirely out of place there, but it was still so brazen it made some guests stare. He didn't care. How could he? His future had changed in an instant. A dream that belonged to you both had come true. Derek didn't know what to do with himself, until suddenly he used the same hand that hit the gate to clap across his own forehead. Oh shit, it's getting late. The first ride was supposed to be the final stop. We've got the whole drive back. I swear, I instantly stopped being a responsible adult whenever you're involved. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. It's okay. I'm glad you asked me to ride again. It makes me happy too, but we should head out. I can't make you miss saying goodbye to everyone else just for me. I mean, you could. I wouldn't blame you. Together you bounded across the boardwalk one last time. Knowing Derek wouldn't fall out of your reach when it was time for you to go carried you ahead fearlessly. Soon you were packed into Derek's car and on a long trip to your second home after having made the most of the afternoon you got. On the long drive back from the park, there were moments of conversation and of quiet, of reminiscing about the past and imaginations of the future. Of course, the now upcoming move was a major source of discussion. There we go. You decided to announce to everyone while they were all together. You determined it would be best to tell other people once the details were all figured out. You know what? Let's tell them. The decision had been made, so there was no rush to hide it. Sitting in the passenger seat over those hours, you sometimes felt as if you hadn't left that Ferris wheel cabin in the sky. The atmosphere of Derek's car had a similar way about it that made you feel disconnected from the rest of the world. No one else could reach you or him, and you could say anything there. Why are you saying, oh brother? Why are you saying, oh brother? Are you just jealous? Or just jealous of my relationship with Derek? But there was a major difference. The peace and the comfortable stasis was only an illusion. You weren't on the slow, unchanging path of the park ride. Derek was speeding down a California highway in a race against time. There was a party at the end of the road, and Derek was never one to be late. When he finally pulled into the apartment complex's parking lot, the car was silent. Its leg of the relay was over, and the frantic whir and rush had been carried on with your own flesh and bones. Not a moment was wasted snatching up the few belongings you'd brought along and booking it towards the building. You passed no one in the hall. Derek had his key in hand, already prepared to unlock the door, and it was swung open. You saw that the living room you'd grown so accustomed to empty. The space was untouched since you left early that morning, at least as far as you could remember, but Derek didn't celebrate an early victory. He put a finger on his lips and made a slow checking behind the couch around the kitchen counter, just to make certain his family hadn't used their spare key to prepare another surprise. You trailed behind Derek step for step as he dramatically skulked about his own house. He checked around a corner and you tried to get a look over his broad shoulders to see too. Nicholas and Liz could absolutely not be trusted. If they came by the apartment and found you and Derek gone, they would almost certainly play the same joke twice. However, they hadn't gotten that chance. Derek stood tall and concluded his inspection with that revelation. We've done it. No one is here. We spent the whole day out and still beat them. So, like, what's happening? What's the dinner situation? I need to understand. I need to know. What is the dinner situation? Are you making dinner? Do we have the food for you to make dinner? With a cheer, he fully relished the victory now that it was truly assured. The boardwalk, finally telling Kingsley what I've actually felt, being on time and getting to see the family before the day's over. Things really are going my way, huh? It's perfect. Derek saying the day was perfect made it so for you too. After a lifetime of compromises and sacrifices, you were proud to see him get exactly what he wanted. And it was more than a little thrilling that a significant part of what he wanted was you. I'm so glad we got to do this. I feel the same way. It couldn't have gone better. You deserve to be spoiled too sometimes. Derek Day should be a national holiday. It should be a national holiday. Thanks, Kingsley. His voice was gentle and his gaze soft with affection. But as Derek came nearer to you, the warmth shot up to sultry. With a single spark, it would burst. Sure, it's only been a few hours, but you're a great boyfriend. I hope you know. You couldn't look away from his fixed gaze, but became incredibly aware of his fingers trailing down your arm. Liz had been so certain none of the Suarez men could woo anyone. She would have had to eat those words if she ever saw Derek truly put his mind to it. Thanks. Is there anything else you might like from your great boyfriend? Are you certain it's perfect? There's nothing else that'd be good? It's my pleasure. In fact, I'd be happy to do more. Now he's overdoing it. Shut up. Thank you. I wonder what everyone's gonna get here. No. Let's do the first one. It was only fair to flirt back a little with how strong he was coming on, yet the reply made his lips quirk. He doubted his ears and nearly lost his composure. What he didn't do was quit. He didn't tell himself or you or he was wrong or there was a mistake either. Instead, Derek held up his coy smile with the confidence he'd managed to store away from emergencies and indulged in further romantic pursuits. Honestly, right now, all I really want to do is be alone with you. Once again, he closed in on you, this time until you were near enough that your noses almost touched. It's pretty convenient we've got the place to ourselves for a minute, huh? Well, hold on a second. Like, yes, but also, what is the dinner situation? Like, are we making dinner? That's on my mind right now. My mind is not on being very cutesy with you. Like, yeah, it's at the back of my mind, but the forefront of my mind is the dinner situation. Are we going out to eat? Is your parents bringing something? Are my parents coming? Are they bringing something? Like, what is happening? Would you like to go somewhere more private? Derek had played it very cool, but in that instant, he lit right up aglow from head to toe. Oh, definitely. What about my room? I didn't get to show you all the spots with how busy we were last time. That would be perfect. What do you mean the spots? What other spots do you have in that room? You have a chair, you have a desk, you have a bed. But what spot? Buddy is pent up. You knew this was coming? He threaded his fingers to yours and gripped tight. The hand was steady and hot. There wasn't a trace of pre-game jitters, only excitement. Pre-game jitters? What are we about to go do? Okay, but before anything else, maybe I should wipe the shooting star off my face? No, keep it. It's sexy. You started to laugh while you were on your... You started to laugh like you were your mom. That was not exactly a romantic thing to bring up now. However, it was faintly practical and Derek-esque. No, leave it. It's cute. What? Really? Really? Huh, if you say so. And you're keeping the shooting star? I'm betting. Of fucking course I'm keeping my fucking shooting star, buddy. That shit's staying on here until I wash my face at nighttime. Yes. In that case, as we were. You left the main area of the apartment. Why did he... I don't think I like this color room for you. It makes you washed out. It makes you a bit washed out, Derek. We'll definitely get you a new room color when you move into my place. You left the main area of the apartment behind the hideaway together in the very back corner. Did he get acid washed? Like, did he? Yeah, like this room definitely made him look washed out. Derek's room was as neat and as simple as it was the first time you'd seen it. But the air felt entirely different. You certainly hadn't come to study Mr. Suarez's business. Not unless that was a double entendre. Oh my god. I was not expecting that. Okay. He slipped both his arms under yours, wrapping you up in him. You were so cozy like that you didn't need anything else in the world. You were a bundle of nerves, but excitement won over shyness. Whatever Derek wanted, you'd be more than happy with. You were absolutely ready to pounce on the man. Okay. Let's be a little shy. Sliding a hand down to the bottom of your spine, Derek kept you steady as he led both of you onto the edge of his bed. He sat comfortably on the mattress, with you straddling his lap. Okay. Neither of you had any plans of untangling from each other. The position of your knees had you towering over Derek even more than usual. Derek glanced up at you through lidded eyes. A coy smile played about his face. He might have jokingly protested others eclipsing his height in the past, but he definitely wasn't complaining about the current arrangement. It suited him exactly right. After you, or did I go first? Your shaking fingers grasped at his shirt. Your face felt a million degrees. He was polite even then, but it was killing you. Yes, after you. I can do that. You did get that impression. You would have whether he said so or not, simply from the light inside his eyes. Derek was more fired up than you'd ever seen him. He cradled your head with one hand, still keeping the other on your lower back. You moved with him, easing lower until your faces could meet. He kissed you, tentative but lingering. He was making sure it was right, that it was real. You were smiling at each other when it ended. There was no mistake here, only two people who's once sung the same song. You kissed again, you showed light pecks down his neck, you complimented him, you reached under his hoodie. Yeah, touch his boob! Touch his boob! You managed... Why am I so excited about that? You managed to get around the folds of Derek's thick sleeveless hoodie, but before you even grazed the body underneath, Derek was leaning away. I'm sorry, are you alright? No, wait, yes, forget it. I'm sorry, it's all good. I was just thinking I could help you with that if you want. He took hold of his own signature red top and lifted it enough to expose a thin line of skin. He stopped there to check your expression. Oh. That would be very nice, thanks. You're so considerate. Thank you, and proceed. I kind of love this one. I'm gonna read the other ones because you're into it. Okay. How about you let me help me? You eagerly bobbed your head over the realization. I think I'd rather you leave it on if that's okay. No. Thank you. Proceed. You know me. I love to assist. Derek tugged at the fabric, pulling it over his head before lobbing his shirt past you onto the floor. Okay. There we go. Why am I shy? Oh my gosh. I don't want to look at this. I need something to cover him up. I don't want to look at his body. Derek rested back against the palms of his hands, totally satisfied and leaving his front fully exposed. He held no shyness again going shirtless in front of you. In fact, you were positive he'd been aching for a chance to do exactly that. He'd missed one opportunity for it when you'd gone to the luncheon instead of the water park. This was his comeback. As you were. Not yet. Hold on. He got the picture immediately. Words were not an option in the moment, so he devolved to a thumbs up. Not giving me a fucking thumbs up. Boy. You twisted and shivered in Derek's laugh in your effort to undress, but you managed to slip out of the top and dropped it to the ground. Derek remained speechless. Now that's everything. You resumed the original plan and freely explored Derek's abs and pecs and everything else he put out on a silver platter for you. Meanwhile, Derek's focus had zeroed in on your own chest. He was transfixed by the sight of it. Clearly, there were even better possibilities out there than getting to show off himself. Okay, there we go. Damn, this is Derek's day. Ew! Stop! You're trapped in this dungeon now. I know. You kissed again. You trailed kisses. You complimented and you pressed your hips into him. Took a few deep breaths. Okay. Kisses titties. His neck and his neck and his shoulders and his titties. Playfully, you trailed tiny kisses down his neck and cooed all the way to the end of his broad shoulder. You had plenty of real estate available to you after all. Derek enjoyed your indulgence as much as you did, even more, a little too much. You were both so distracted, neither of you realized what was coming when he dropped his head in a happy sigh until his chin squished into his shoulder blade. There we go. Oof. I'm sorry. He snapped right back up, but still pulled you off him to check your state. Are you okay? Got me. It was pretty funny. Oh! You know the baby oil's behind. No. I don't think we're gonna get that far. Why does he have cactuses up here? A cactus and a cupcake. I'm getting distracted. He yelped as soon as your teeth took hold of the sensitive area. You win, or it's even now? Good. So you're really alright? I am. No damage was done. Derek squeezed you tight in a hug, careful with where his face went, and laughed wholeheartedly. You embraced him in return, overflowing with affection for your excessively considerate boyfriend. What happens if we do this? The position you were in frankly demanded that. It was too perfect. You came closer until you were up against Derek's bare chest and sunk lower and lower against him. Then you rocked your body into his lap. The loose gym shorts Derek had on slipped around smoothly underneath you. What is happening? It was almost as if nothing at all was in the way of the sizzling friction. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My little baby eyes. Derek's breath hitched and you could feel the jolt that went through him. The shock seemed to genuinely stun Derek into immobility for a second there. You hit a home run with that one. Compliment him. You're such a stud. You're such a stud. I love that option. You felt of his nicely muscular arms as you spoke to bring the boy home. You think? I can't. What is this? This reply had the exact amount of awe, shucks, bashful disbelief it would have if you said it randomly while chilling at the park, despite the fact that you were actually making out in his apartment. Derek really decided to pause while getting hot and heavy to think, wow, Kingsley likes me. That's amazing. It was extremely cute. Kiss him again. Once again, your mouth locked around his. Derek tilted himself towards your touch, kissing you in return. He squeezed your thigh. You racked your hands through his short hair. You never miss Animal Crossing so much. Animal Crossing will be back next week. Hopefully I don't forget my Switch. Again. Oh god, okay. Regardless of how spiky it always looked, his strands were nothing but silky soft against your fingers. The intensity deepened. You pressed and pulled your lips against each other in a much longer, much more longing kiss. You'd imagined there was even better kisses to come than the one in the Ferris wheel, but you were pleasantly surprised to have it happen so soon. You gasped for breath when you and him finally broke apart. Derek could only speak in a hoarse whisper. You're really great. You chuckled against his skin. Derek's vocabulary for praise rarely extended past words he could say to any guy, gal, or pal. But it was only with you when his voice was so heart-achingly adoring. That was the biggest thrill you had in you. Weren't sure when you just gone to an amusement park earlier that day. You need to relax. Aiming for more of a sit over a straddle, you slide your legs over to the side and twisted on your butt. Derek kept his arms placed around you, which stopped you from falling as you got situated. Thanks. Flushed in content, you rested your cheeks against Derek's hair. It was soft even though it had always looked spiky. Hey, it's my pleasure. I bet it was, Derek. I bet it was your pleasure. Derek traced his fingers down the length of your spine. His burning touch had changed to a soothing balm. You welcomed it, snuggling closer. But once Derek didn't attempt to move right into a new conversation. His hands were fully going up and down your back. That was okay with you. In a dreamy haze, you gladly listened to the only sound of his heart. You gladly listened to only the sound of his heart and his slow breaths. And then the doorbell rang. Ah! Derek blinked wide, bleary eyes. That was definitely the door's buzzer, but you could have fooled himself into thinking it was an alarm clock waking him from a fantasy. Man, it's been, 5 minutes since we were preparing? I already lost track of the party thing and that we were expecting guests. I never lost track of that, I want you to know. I'm still over here thinking. We haven't eaten? What's the dinner situation? Well, this time I can forgive myself for the slip-up. That was a hell of a distraction. Just lock the door. I mean, we still need to go greet them. It was nice while it lasted. Oh well. I forgot we had families the second you started flirting. You scrambled off. Derek, boo. Don't. Whoever, they realize they're interrupting people. But. Oh well. Derek sighed sweetly and buried his face against you. He mumbled through a grin into the nape of your neck. Each word had its lips drag against your skin. Is it too late to cancel? Yeah, it's too late, you fool. Like, I know he's flirting with me, but, boy, get off me. Put your shirt back on. Even though he was joking, it was still tempting for both of you, but it couldn't be done. Mustering his years of experience being the responsible one, Derek hefted you and him onto your feet. It was time to go. You climbed on him? Did I climb on him? Or did he put me on him? There's a difference. You hunted down your abandoned clothes and put them back on. Mercifully, they still looked presentable enough despite what you'd done to them. Nah, you know, it's my memory is fuzzy. It's fuzzy. With a refreshed pep in your steps, you and Derek said goodbye to your dreamland and returned to the world of the living, which took the form of Derek's living room. But the expectant smile that had been on Derek's face evened out into a bemused smile. His brain was working, and then his mouth dropped open in a terrible realization. Yeah, wait. Didn't I invite them over for dinner? We don't have time to make food. We could set out snacks, but what kind of dinner party is that? I've been thinking about this the whole time, Derek. I said that we'd have as much as possible at the park. I said that so we'd have as much time as possible at the park. I wasn't considering that meant we'd actually need a dinner. Shoot, we don't even have enough food in the house for how many people are coming. Us laugh at him. Silly boy. Hey, you know what? It's fine. I've got an idea. Are we ordering takeout? We're gonna take out. How about pizza and some other stuff places like that have salad, wings, and so on, and the other stuff places like they have. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Cool. He held a satisfied thumbs up. No, we better actually answer the door. He stuck a finger forward in demonstration of where he was headed, then strolled over. But his hand froze on the doorknob. Oh, damn. Then he flung into a slap across his face. The paint. The family can't see this. Derek saves the day again. I hadn't thought of that one. I don't care if they know. I just didn't feel like telling them where we were going. They can know. They can be jealous. The boardwalk trip was meant to be a secret, and Derek literally strolled along to greet his or your family with a sparkling shooting star blazing across one cheek. And you weren't any better with the shooting star across your face. Can't believe I almost missed it, even though I already caught that. Is there anything else I forgot today? You hope they had time to relax. Shut up. Shut up. No, that's the last one. Great. Derek was thinking fast then. He left the door closed. Well, obviously they had time to relax. They had to cool down from that. Which shouted through to the other side. Be there in a minute. Okay. You could make out Mr. Suarez's. Was that Mr. Suarez? Or I thought it said Mr. Suarez. Voice resonating through the wall. So it was Derek's family who'd come first. Derek soundlessly sidestepped away from the entrance, tiptoeing over the carpet until he was certain he wouldn't be overheard. He whispered to you, "Let's go. We don't want them to see something they shouldn't." That was spoken like a true criminal. He bolted from the living room, counting on you to follow. You did. Derek went to the master bathroom and you the guest one. You twisted the sink on and assaulted the shooting star with hot water and pale yellow hand towel until it was erased from existence. You wiped down the area as best you could, then threw the towel into the cabinet under the sink to keep it away from prying eyes. It was all stained all over, the only evidence of your and Derek's deed. With the job done, you hastily returned to the living room. Derek came up right behind you. At the threshold, he bent over, leaning against his knees and settled his heavy breathing. Then Derek bounded back up and finally answered the door, seeming as upbeat and unflappable as ever. Welcome! It was such a dramatic and completely recovery, you had to wonder if it was a trained skill. There might have been many days where Derek frantically put out fires in his own fluster before presenting himself before you with a big smile. Thank you! The whole Suarez family was there, crowding the narrow space with smiles on their faces. Your own family member did not have the same kind of cheer. Her lips were curved. They were here first. You took so long answering, I found them standing around waiting. There are ways to tuck, but it's really uncomfortable. I would not know, but I've heard that drag queens do that. They tuck. And I've heard that it is uncomfortable, but they live with it. They live with it. Sorry about that. Okay, Liz, with it. Yeah, what was that about? Well, the real secret of the day was your outing at the boardwalk, but a deep red over his cheeks exposed that it was a different Trice that came to Derek's mind. Kingsley and I were just going over the game plan. Oh, what is the plan? We're gonna get pizza. My treat. Thank you, my wonderful son. That's very thoughtful of you. Works for me. Derek's last-minute solution had gotten full marks, speaking with the self-satisfaction of a man who winged a final exam and still passed. Derek pretended this had gone as he intended all along. I thought you might feel that way about it. Didn't we have pizza the other day? Doesn't matter. Derek is selling. What is he selling? What is he selling? Let's not order until everyone is here. Kingsley says Mrs. and Mrs. Reichel are going to show up soon. Memories of understanding circulated as the group filled into the apartment. Derek took on the role of host with vigor and encouraged his guests to get comfortable. They accepted the hospitality and seats were taken all around. How has your day been? Yeah, what were you up to? Mrs. Suarez's entirely pleasant tone was followed up by the openly nosy inquiry from Nicholas. However, neither had forgotten the curious hold up at the door. We had a great afternoon and talked about some very important things. Isn't that right, Kingsley? As usual, when he ended up in awkward positions, Derek took the strategy of technically not lying but leaving out crucial details. Yep, that is exactly right. That's nice. Mrs. Suarez didn't mind not getting the real answer that she knew existed. She always did. Nicholas shrugged. He wanted more, but was mature enough not to demand it. Soon, another sharp ring of the doorbell came. You and your sister perked up the most at the sound. It had to be your parents. He doesn't have a good poker face. I mean, I feel like I don't have a good one either. I don't like lying. I feel like I'm a terrible liar. Liz disregarded the fact that this was not her apartment and headed straight over to answer the door. You hurried to catch up with her. Liz tugged the handle, and there on the other side were the soft faces of your sweet mothers. Many hellos and good to see yous were said in succession as the Rigel family joined with the Suarez clan in Derek's living room. It is a real party now. Not yet. There's still one more thing missing. Let's talk toppings. Derek took a page out of his mother's book and offered an explanation to newcomers who had to have wondered. We're getting pizza if that's cool with you. Yum. That is fine, sweetie. Perfect. With this size of a crowd, I'd say I may get 3 large pizzas. A friendly round of suggestions and debates over the most ideal topping splits commenced. More than one person wanted meat and veggie supreme. The Suarez parents both loved that one, and it had grown on their sons as they grew. Most agreed that having at least a couple of simple options made sense, and Derek declared he'd get his favorite chicken barbecue since he was the one making the order and couldn't be stopped. Frosty told us out of pocket, but you can only blame yourself. What does it say? Hold on, let me read it. New cast update from Princess Beauregard's realm. Darius Williams is on a wild commentary spree, hinting at some steamy dungeon vibes and questioning Derek's fashion choices. There's a playful plea for Animal Crossing's chill life amidst the chaos, a cheeky tip about tucking. Will Derek's poker face hold up? Stay tuned as we navigate the intriguing twists in our life, beginnings and always. That is fucking hilarious. I can't. Frosty Toes is great. I love Frosty Toes. It's wild. No one else in the group had any intention of ruining that for Derek. It was incredible to see him decide on something purely for himself. That's how the plan on 1 full meat and veggie supreme pizza, half a cheese, half a pepperoni pizza, and half a pizza of chicken barbecue was determined. Okay. Half cheese, half pepperoni, and half... I don't understand. I don't get it. So then what's the other half? You left the last half up to the rest of the group. You offered a suggestion for the last half. You know what? I'll offer a suggestion. Ooh, I like an Alfredo's. They got a spinach pesto pizza I'd like to try. I was gonna say Alfredo, but I would love to try a spinach pesto. Awful pizza choices? Then get your own pizza, then, Darius. I do too. The rest of the room accepted your idea as well. And order something besides pizza. Yeah, let's order something besides pizza. Let's get some, ooh, a cup of lemonade? How the fuck do you order a cup of something from a fast food place? From a pizza place? They don't sell things by the cup. They sell things by the bottle, by the liter. A cup? What should we get? A cup of lemon lime soda. Get some orange soda. Let's get a cola. Let's get a salad. Some wings. A chocolate chip cookie. A brownie. And that's all. We all share a singular cup of lemonade. Honestly, that's what it feels like. Liz teased you openly in front of all the parents for making good use of this being Derek's treat. And Nicholas, of all people, felt self-assured enough to joke about you being a spoiled youngest child. That was hilarious coming from him, though the most impactful blow you got came from Derek himself when he gladly owned up to the idea that he spoiled you when you wanted him to. And to top it all off, Nico and Jorge were both emboldened by your special request. Each of the younger Suarez boys asked their big brother for a soda, root beer for Jorge, and orange for Nicholas. Aw, Jorge, I should have known that you wanted root beer. I would have got root beer for you. Derek gladly accepted the request. I mean, I got orange, though. I knew what Nicholas would like. Off to the side, Mr. Suarez stroked his beard as he mused himself. Why does someone need more than one drink? Options. Options, my guy. Because it's a party and Kingsley is enjoying himself. That's true. I'm getting options for the family, okay? This is a family event, a family affair. I'm making sure everybody has something that they would want. That's what I was doing by ordering more things, okay? Yes, we almost sipped from the same side of the cup. Don't care if mom leaves her lipstick stains. Oh, I hate that. I don't wear lipstick because of that. I hate the way lipstick feels and the way it tastes. Lip gloss, though, I do love me some lip gloss. I haven't worn lip gloss in forever, though. I should start wearing my lip gloss again. It's been so long since I've been sparkly. I miss it. After it was all said and done, Derek made the call to the local pizza place. He had it arranged for delivery. He glanced over the attendees once he finished the task. That delivery person is going to need someone to ride along with him to carry all the stuff in. You got some time to kill. Can I get anybody a drink? That goes for you three already getting something too. You don't have to wait to hydrate. What a kind host. Some requests were made for water, and seats were taken to settle in for the wait. You got comfortable on the couch yourself. Derek collected 2 armfuls of water bottles. He went around the room, passing drinks out to each person. even those who didn't ask for one. Who's Ma? Ma is my mom, and mom is my mom. My parents are together. The women are together. Ma is the darker skinned one, the darker skin complexion. It seemed staying refreshed was not an option after all. It was an order. You and the others, me and Liz, are adopted. You and the others near the coffee table got served first when he went around dining table to catch the ones hanging out there. He was busy in another section of the apartment. That's what you knew from the last time you caught sight of Derek from your position. And that's why a jolt went through your entire body when a low voice tickled your ear. Kingsley. You quickly turned your rigid neck to glimpse behind you. Derek was there, resting on his arms across the top edge of the couch. He had swung back around to you while you weren't looking. As you processed the situation, Derek grinned cheerfully, unapologetically about the shock his move gave you. A soft thump could be heard in the air. It wasn't your heart, though it might have been. You guessed on the other side of the couch he was tapping his heels together. I just want to ask you if we're keeping us a secret. He didn't have to tell you what that meant. No, we shouldn't, and this would be a good chance to talk about it. Our families are both here. Yes. Yes? I don't know what he's saying yes for, but yes. Besides, they can tell something is going on already, considering the cozy position you've taken in the secret conversation we're having right now in front of them. Good point. Burying the secret? Oh, no, not burying the secret. He brushed off the couch to his full height, though continued to grip the off-white fabric backside of his couch. Well... A new patting sound could be heard. Derek needed an outlet for his building excitement and found it through drumming his fingers against the cushion. While we're all together, Kingsley and I have got to tell you all something. Ah, you're in a relationship. Really now? Dad? What? Is that wrong? Were we not aware of what Derek felt about Kingsley? Damn, not his dad outing him like this. Tact, sir, tact. Mrs. Suarez groaned loudly and hid her face in the palm of her hands. Jorge and put his hands on his hips, giving his dad a hard look. Your own parents were too sympathetic to their child's predicament to comment or laugh, though they were clearly dying to. Dad, he's obviously gay, right? Stop. I mean, we love a supportive parent, though. Maybe not. We have no idea. Don't steal their thunder before they're said anything. He's right, Gregorio. Let them talk. Mr. Suarez stroked his beard thoughtfully. Mr. Suarez has no tact. I don't know how they're running this business. Oh, sorry, kids. Derek, please keep going. What did you want to say? Yes, forget I said a word. My lips are sealed. Derek shot you a look that was both apologetic and encouraging. He turned his back to the waiting eyes of his family and scratched his neck. Mr. Suarez guessed it. We're dating. Okay, everyone. Meet my new boyfriend. Well, me and Derek are, What a spoil it, you joked. You reach over and took Derek's hand. You want Derek to... I'm gonna take his hand. Derek started, but when his brain caught up to what you were doing, his palm slid perfectly into place with yours. You watched his expression grow more confident. He was ready. You got it, Dad. We are dating. The soft way he confirmed that made your heart flutter in your chest. I'm more than happy to say it, even though someone else beat me to the punch. The parents were instantly elated by the news. Mrs. Suarez started clapping and knocking a shoulder into her husband's side. I hoped that this was going to be the news. This is amazing and quite a surprise too. Mom bent forward with a chuckle and loudly snorted. This is Mom, and this is Ma. I sure hope they washed their hands before we got here. Now hold on now. They don't know what we were up to. And we did wash. We washed the stuff off our face. We gotta use soap for that. Unless I just use water. In that case, ew. Mom bent forward with a chuckle and loudly snorted. I thought this might happen ever since Kingsley invited him to that soiree, remember? Ma hummed nostalgically. She reached over and threaded her fingers together with Mom's. Derek has always been quite the gentleman. Jorge slowly shook his head off to the side. His crooked smile grew.
That makes sense.
You two together? It just makes sense. I'm happy for you. Thanks. That means everything to me. Thank you so much. I promise to do my best. By Derek, cross my heart. I'm officially Team Suarez now. Sorry, family. Derek's in Team Rogel now. Sorry. I'm glad my boyfriend comes with good in-laws. Oh, yeah, let's do that one. That's cute. I do like the in-laws. Placing a hand over her heart, Mrs. Suarez glanced at her husband. He matched her tender smile. I mean, technically they're not in-laws yet. We're not married, but, you know, might as well be. We're grateful to have you. We couldn't have dreamed of someone better suited for our Derek. Derek rubbed the back of his neck out of embarrassment, but you caught him peeking at you still. You wondered how you'd won the romance lottery. A bold as brass smirk hadn't left Liz's face, as to be expected from your big sister. You know what would make this better? If Cove was here. Well, props to you, Suarez coming from behind. I thought you'd lost your painfully long moment when you never said anything about crushing on Kingsley for several years and then moved away. Her jab hit the mark, making Derek shudder one eye. His characteristic grin survived the strike. What a lovely and supportive family. Not you side-eyeing. Oh, I can feel the jealousy oozing off of you, Darius. I fumbled it more than once, I can admit that, but I did it now, and a win is a win. Wow, more props. Let's completely remove the weariness that... Is it weariness? Is it wryness? That was natural to her face, but when she looked at you again, her eyes were soft. I'm also happy for you, both of you. I cannot possibly imagine how romancing Mr. Let me do that for you over here could have blown up in your face. Liz's encouragement was a huge deal to you, but the moment wasn't complete. Nicholas had been the only one in the crowd with nothing to say for the entire event. That was strikingly uncharacteristic for the wild child, and his face was neutral. The absence of happiness worried you as much as sadness or anger would have. Maybe more. Nicholas simply not caring seemed worse than him being upset. But you didn't want to doubt for long. In the end, he smiled. The look wasn't forced or for manner's sake, it reached his deep brown eyes. Nico's story about the night of the summer soiree came back to you. He knew it was coming and prepared himself for this exact moment. Now that it was here, he was happy for Derek and for you. You were so grateful. Your whole family, Suarez and Rigel, could agree that you and Derek ought to be happy and that you should be happy together. And Derek was flushed with confidence after how well received the announcement was. He was invincible. There was nothing to fear, so he steamrolled ahead. There's actually more major news. At that point, he cut himself off. As excited as he was, Derek managed to hold his tongue and send a searching glance your way before saying anything more. It was understandable why Derek was so pumped. You'd been busy and had two life-changing decisions made in a single afternoon away. Yeah, right? Hold on. Doesn't matter. Let's continue. Your loved ones heard about your relationship. Next, they learned about the move. You cleared your throat to get everyone's attention. You gestured a hand for Derek to go ahead. Go ahead, babes. He turned to the crowd with every eye on him. Derek came right out with it. I'm gonna be leaving this apartment and moving in with Kingsley. We're gonna be roommates. Roommates? Roomies. And they were roommates. The crowd gasped. They were quiet, then went quiet. But not for lack of feeling. Emotions were palpable. But what emotions they were hard to say. The first to express anything directly was Mom. It's lovely the two of you will have each other right there. Agreed. Kingsley can always use another person to lean on, especially someone like Derek. He's trained for that kind of work. You know what I think Derek would really be good at? I think he'd be a really good nurse. He looks like he'd be a really good nurse. I feel it. He's such a support. And nurses are like, they're those bitches. They're those bitches. Like, they run things. Fuck a doctor. Hate doctors. Nurses though, I fucks with nurses. We love a good nurse. That's out of the way. Everybody out. Kingsley and I are in the middle of something here now. We can wait till they leave. And I'm sure Cove is going to be thrilled. The whole group of you kiddos will be there. Yeah. See, I told you Cove was missing. Derek can accept the words from your parents boldly. A hint of guilt crept in when it came time to face his family. But he had nothing to fear. The Suarez family had let the eldest go once before, and he'd returned for a time. The second separation was easier. The confidence was there that they would see each other again someday. I'd love having you here, but I'm happier seeing you grow and be happy yourself, even if that means you go somewhere else. Yes, I believe Derek needs a change. Good luck, bro. I tell you to look out for each other, but I don't have to. You definitely will. Nico huffed but agreed with the overall sentiment in his own way. When I'm an adult, I'm gonna go wherever I want, whenever I want, and no one will be able to stop me. Derek's gotta have that right too. When you grow up, you do that already. Nicholas's childish snicker was a true sign of his maturity. His big brother planned to leave, and he could embrace it. It's gonna be even more in the future. It's gonna be even more in the future. I'm probably gonna travel the world or whatever. That's awesome, Nico. I know you will, and thanks, bros. You too, Mom and Dad. It was amazing and relieving to be understood and supported so much. You were more certain of your choice than ever. The wholesomeness of the moment wouldn't have been complete if it was only sweet. Liz cut in with a dose of snark that made the taste perfectly right. Sheesh. After 10 years of no progress, you're going at light speed now? We have a lot of time to make up for, Liz, okay? So mind your fucking business. Because you're the only one over here that's single, so. And she wasn't wrong. You thought the exact same thing. Well, we were just storing up all our momentum for the right time. Now we've got the means to move full speed ahead. Laughter and lighthearted conversation continued within the walls of that apartment. Everyone was ready to pitch in with a move and had suggestions to offer, and then everything was put on hold when for the third time the doorbell rang. Dinner's here! That'd be so funny if it was Cove. Nicholas made a beeline for the door. His two older brothers at his heels, they gathered all the spoils from the delivery driver, gave a polite thanks, and promptly closed the apartment again. Jorge and Nicholas peered into the semi-opaque lids to figure out which drink was theirs, and Derek specifically handed you the stuff you got for yourself. I didn't get all of that stuff for myself. I got it for the group. I got it for the group, not for myself. Oh my god. It was good the whole set of boys went considering all the additional items came stacked with 3 pieces, most of which were for you. They're not for me. It's not selfish. I got it for the group. Nicholas, Jorge, and Derek helped set aside your goods safely. The feast was laid out on the counter, savory, steamy, and very cheesy. Derek stood between the guests and the meal to make a declaration. I kind of want to get some chicken wings, but I promised Gil that I'd make dinner. I made dinner yesterday. I don't want to make dinner again. I gotta clean the pans. Alright, everyone. In my house, instead of the youngest going first, the oldest do. Ah, yes. Respect our elders. How kind. All the grown-ups followed through as a big group. At that point in their lives, determining who was truly the oldest of the old wasn't worth the trouble. When they picked over the cream of the crop, Liz made a clean sweep all on her own. You and Derek went together next, followed by Jorge. Finally, Nicholas's turn came. His mouth was hooked in an amused bin. Being last was a novelty, and he took his sweet time picking out the slices he wanted. Why not? He wasn't holding anyone up. Eventually, Nicholas selected his dinner, and the chairs around the apartment were filled with happy guests whose plates were equally full. It was a relief to see your and Derek's big announcement hadn't impacted anyone's appetite. Good food and pleasant conversation were enjoyed at Casa Derek. Nico went back to the box for seconds and thirds without needing anyone's permission. After eating, Jorge moved from the table to chat with Liz away from the parents. Nicholas abandoned the last bites of his 5th piece of pizza to scurry over after his big brother. Derek stuck next to you as a rule, but there were cases with an exception as was needed. Well, this is your party and Liz's sort of. I won't hog you. You should get to see everyone who's here to see you. I'll be around. Derek didn't belabor the point by calling it what it truly was, your farewell party. The point's still good. I mean, technically, is this not your farewell party too? Is this not also your farewell party because you're leaving? These were the final hours in Prism Vista, and with both of these families. You'd see each other again, but no one could say exactly when. Well, am I not coming back for my mother's anniversary soiree thingy, whatever the fuck that's happening? The time you had right now wasn't to be missed. Yeah, I will. Thanks. Derek took a step back with a nod and a wave. He, at least, was someone you'd certainly see again soon. Let's go talk to the in-laws. Derek's parents were contentedly sitting together on the couch watching the scene of their children and friends gather together in one place was a rare joy. But when you approached, Mr. Suarez perked up from his peaceful reverie. He squished against the missus, patting the freed spot on the cushion. Mrs. Suarez had to physically support her husband in an invitation by catching his shoulder. Otherwise, he would have toppled right over into her lap. She laughed over the dramatic infringement of her personal space. I'll take the seat, sure. After all the effort they took in order to make that available, you wouldn't reject the hospitality. You popped down onto the pre-warmed cushion. Mrs. Suarez looked past the man draped over her, as if he was not currently attached at the hip, and made eye contact with you. I hope you've enjoyed your big vacation, Kingsley. Your big city vacation. I definitely did. Glad to hear it. As the pleasantries faded off, the Suarez spouses shared a meaningful glance with each other. The bit of the occasion hadn't been forgotten. Well, while we've got you here, there's something I want to say. Did you know Gregorio and I met at a similar age as you and Derek? Technically. Mrs. Suarez patted her husband's leg unconsciously while the gleam of a storyteller sparked in her eyes. We attended the same high school at, 14 or so? Though we never landed on the other's radar until senior year. Sitting on a warm seat. I don't, it's kind of gross. It kind of feels gross. Unless it's like a really cold room and then it's like you welcome the warm seat. At least I do. I welcome it if it's like really cold. He and I shared a class here and there. We did not run in the same social circles or had similar extracurricular pursuits. I almost missed her. Can you believe that? I cannot. What would I have done with my life then? You know, something similar happened with me and Gil. We were in like the same states at the same time. And by that, I mean, when I was in Florida, he was also in Florida. And we were in the same like area. We were both in like Jacksonville at the same time, but our paths never would have crossed like ever. And it's happened before again too. Like I feel like I forgot where, but it was somewhere else. I think he was also in like the same state I was at the same time, like a different same state. And then we finally met in 2020 on Tinder. We've had so many of those almost met situations. Sometimes I wonder, perhaps you'd be living in a mansion somewhere in the hills. Is that so? It is a worse fate than I feared. The longtime couple tittered and smiled rosily over one another. Good old Tinder. Yeah, good old Tinder. Tinder is terrible. Honestly, that's where I've had the most luck talking to guys. Because all the other ones were just like, all the guys were just especially awful. Like Plenty of Fish, oh my god, awful, terrible, awful men. I tried Hinge, no luck on that one. I met one guy, never again. But I don't have to worry about that. Me and Gil, we're locked in. Will he propose? Who's to say? Am I looking for a proposal? Whenever he's ready, whenever he's ready. Well, never mind. I mean, I met my first boyfriend on Tinder, but we went to school together. He was, he's like 2 years older than me. We went to school. And I knew some of his, like, friends. I had, like, a crush on him. It was cute. Too bad we didn't last, Too bad things happened that made us not last. The longtime couple, like, well, not too bad, because, I'm with Gil now, so. The longtime couple tittered and smiled rosily over one another. Meanwhile, you leaned in closer, ears perked. The topic intrigued you. How had Derek's parents come together? You didn't interrupt in order to ask. You knew with certainty that Mrs. Suarez would explain without prompting, and she did. You see, Kingsley, Mr. Suarez is a well-meaning man, but when he gets a lot of compliments, he believes them. There's no end to how big his head can get. Derek may have mentioned this to you, but Rio, as he was called in the glory days, was on the football team. The words football team were said with a mocking exaggeration, as though she could stop the explanation there. It was obvious where that was going. He and all his footballer buddies had quite the egos and were such a clique. One completely random day in the cafeteria, him and his boys were acting like the gods on earth that they thought they were. They talked big and it was all crap. I spent my life tuning the whole set out, but that time I must have been sitting closer to the noise than normal or in an unusually petty mood. Whatever the reason, I began to gab with my own friends intentionally loud enough to be overheard. I said with exaggerated wide-eyed innocence how strange it was that the jocks acted as if they were the greatest men alive. How did they come to such a conclusion when they've seemingly never spoken to a single person outside of their team? What do they know about who's better than anyone else? Get her. Get her. Eat 'em up, girl. Eat 'em up. Folding her arms and balancing her shoulders, Mrs. Suarez still felt self-satisfaction over that 1 decade later. The team noticed me then, mostly to give me the stink eye, except for one who I could only describe as befuddled. I continued on, pretending I had no idea what was happening at the next table over. We were having plenty of fun on our side of the crowd, until all of my friends went dead quiet. That got me to check again. One of the footballers had come over. He was built like a broad brick. Though his face was anything but hardened, too goofy and almost boyish for that. It was Rio the linebacker, of course. He leaned over the table and said in his low, somehow booming voice, "What do you think of me? Am I not great to you?" Seriously? Irene and you were suddenly peers, sharing a fluster over the brashness of some strange football man. He snuck a glance at the star of that scene. He was playing as naive as Mrs. Suarez had all those years ago, listening quietly and twiddling his thumbs. Yes, I couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting any of them to actually care about my opinion. The obvious thought would be that he was trying to intimidate me, make me take it back, but he asked with so much earnestness, I didn't even consider that possibility. I shuddered instantly that I don't like you, I don't know you, but I couldn't say I wouldn't like a man simply because he was on the football team. That's pathetic. Ping-ponging from shock to indignance. The outpouring of emotions reached its peak. Irene could be worked up no longer. She wasn't really a young lady recounting this for the first time. She knew the end of the tale. And despite being grown, it still put a schoolgirl smile on her face. Well, Mr. Suarez here had such a frown when he heard that. Truthfully, Derek looks the exact same way when he feels rejected, so you likely understand the position I was in. Sometimes you gotta put them on the spot and make them fold. I mean, I guess, yeah. Sometimes you do, you gotta put them in their place. Someone so bright and bold with a face like that isn't right. It's as if all the joy in the entire world had vanished. That was too much. I looked him square in the face and said I wouldn't give him the time of day for that, but I might be willing to get to know him sometime because he was decently handsome. Of course that soothed Rio's delicate soul, and he said, then we should do that. We are people who should know each other. When he grinned down at me, I knew this was more than I bargained for. I'd better prepare. If he didn't forget about me, I wasn't sure I'd ever have it in me to give up on him. But so far, it's never come to that. And it never will. Rio had been so quiet the whole story. He simply needed to burst in at the end. I cannot remember seeing Irene before that day in the lunchroom, yet as soon as I did see her, I knew I wanted her to think well of me. If she didn't, I must have been doing wrong. I am thankful you approve of me still, even though I sneak our sons extra treats and cheat with their video games. I can't be a bad man if Irene can look past it. I mean, you're not a bad person for doing that, but don't cheat on video games. I mean, sometimes it's a little fun. But don't do it all the time. Mr. Suarez hooked a hand around his wife's. You'd bet the grin he had on in that moment was the same one Irene had originally fallen for. That's right, you are a good man. No buts or qualifiers went along with the praise. She wholeheartedly expressed approval of her husband. You could see it go straight to Mr. Suarez's ego. Irene didn't take it away from him. The sweethearts were completely enamored and absorbed one another. Yet Mrs. Suarez managed to pull her focus off the stud of her heart to address you again. It had to be serious. Thank you for listening to my self-indulgent story. What I really wanted to tell you is that I'm relieved Derek found someone who appreciated him for who he is. The weight of those words fell over you. She knew what happened with Derek, and she knew that you were with him regardless of what happened with his career trajectory. As his mother, it meant a great deal to her. Welcome to the family, Kingsley. Thanks, you sniffed. I'm gonna miss you so much. I'm grateful I got to be here while I could. Thanks. Hand in hand, the two wonderful people who raised your amazing friend smiled over at you. You got to enjoy a little more quality time with Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. Eventually, they requested a moment with their eldest child, likely to share the same sentimental matters with you. That wasn't something you'd stand in the way of, and made room for the two to go have a special parent and child chat. Christ, I cannot read. I go talk to my moms. Your parents remained at the dinner table, sipping on their water bottles and pretending to be nonchalant. They sent too many Fiverr glasses between you and Liz to be convincing. Then Mr. and Mrs. Suarez sneak into the bedroom. No! No! Hello, sweetie. What's happening? Hi, I just wanted to see how you were doing. We're great. Aw, we've been having a wonderful time. I know this trip was for you and Derek, but I'm still grateful Pam and I could be here for a little. Ma wrapped an arm around Mom with a light chuckle. Mom leaned her head gently into her wife and they both beamed. Time together is more important than time apart. Every bit counts. I love you, Moms. Us too, kiddo. Absolutely. Mom brought you into the embrace along with Mom. Your parents held you tight for another minute before letting go. Like Derek before them, they didn't intend to monopolize you forever. You left them to their own amazing company and drifted back towards the front of the living room. Time to go to the siblings. Jorge, Nicholas, and Liz were gathered in a corner of the room, fully engrossed in conversation. Jorge's hand batted in the air between the group as Nicholas jerked a finger about. What's up, you three? You were welcomed by this circle with friendly smiles. Jorge folded his arms and switched from one explanation to another. Nicholas was giving something to the effect of a recap to Liz. While talking about the trip, we realized she'd yet to hear about our new interesting acquaintance, so she was being filled in. Xavier? Apparently, the Xavier person running some bakery used to paint faces at the boardwalk? Small world, There's no end to the odd connections you end up making with people. Yeah, we were getting philosophical. I'm lucky I got to meet each one of you. I'm looking forward to see who we'll meet in the future. We're connected with that psychic who knew Shiloh. That was weirder. Yeah, it's almost as weird as meeting that dancer kid again. You nodded in understanding. Is it weird? Who is Shiloh? I've heard him mentioned, but... Shiloh is an old dear friend of mine. We don't talk much these days, though. Our paths went in different directions. Look at that. We're back to sounding so serious. The younger boys stared back, blank-faced, no more confident in their understanding that they were a minute ago. Your sister was satisfied, snickering into her palm. Besides all that, I had to say I'm surprised Nicholas was the one who reconnected with Xavier. Wouldn't he struggle to recognize them? You know, considering the fact that he was asleep the entire day. I fell asleep after I got my face painted, thanks. And I've been to that boardwalk more than once. I didn't conk out every time. Try a better tease. The dare was meant for Liz. That's what he'd readied himself for, and why he spoke with boldness. Alright. Unfortunately for Nicholas, however, it was Jorge who took on the challenge. Speaking plainly with the mischievous twinkle deep in his eyes, you knew it wasn't going to go well for his little brother. The only reason Xavier was able to recognize you out of any of us is because you're still a little kid, just taller. How's that? Nico pouted. That round, he had no comeback. However, he did have a new strategy. Nicholas looked to you, his only potential ally, and pleaded like the child he insisted he wasn't. The irony wasn't lost to Nico, and he intentionally played to that. Kingsley, these two meanies are ganging up on me. Leave Nicholas alone, he's a sweet boy. Well, Jorge doesn't have a point. I'm glad you haven't changed, Nico. You're the best the way you are. Clearly, Jorge and Liz haven't changed either. I'm glad. It's not Nicholas's fault he hit on a great style at 6. None of you should change. You're perfect to me. Totally. Is Xavier the cake guy? Yeah, Xavier is the cake person, yes. They do cakes. I think their pronouns are they, them. I want to say. I could be wrong. But I think I'm recalling they, them. Right, I'm perfect. Kingsley says so. But so are we. And we were teasing you. Is that perfect too? Some people are more perfect than others. You, Liz, Jorge, and Nicholas laughed together and continued to chat on the mysterious mysteries of life. None of them said this was goodbye, but when the evening wore on and you needed to move away from the sibling group, the see you shared between you meant more than usual. You worked the room, made your rounds, and had a few minutes to yourself. You used it to think and reflect. There was a lot to consider. Life was barreling forward for you. Unfortunately, no inner peace was full understanding of the universe came while you zoned out in the corner. Perhaps as a consolation, you were rewarded with Derek returning to you after finishing his talk with Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. He had an idea. Hey, you want to go on the balcony? Get some fresh air? Same as he did when he first parted ways with you, Derek pointedly left the most crucial part of his motivation unsaid. This might be the last time you had a chance to be alone together before you had to go. That sounds nice, Derek. Cool. You quietly went to the sliding glass panels at one end of the living room. Derek opened the door and leaned aside. Of course, he wouldn't go through himself, at least not first. After you. You obliged graciously in the special ritual between Derek and the people he cared for. Thanks. The event was still alive with small pockets of conversation. You and Derek managed to slip away without notice. As soon as you walked out, a warm evening breeze caressed your body. It carried the sharp scent of the ocean and the delicate perfume of the flowers who made their own home at Derek's place. Derek ignored the one lonely chair on the veranda and rested up against the rail exactly as he did the first time. On the horizon, the sea gleamed like molten gold encasing the city of silver. Lean against the railing too, you here. You know what? Let's lean against the railing too. Out there, he had his spot and you had yours. All was as it should be. The seemingly endless expanse in front of you, with nothing more than a few thin bars between you and it, was a welcome sight. With you both settled in, Derek grinned as if it was another day, or rather because he couldn't help smiling at you no matter the circumstances. Kingsley, I owe you an apology, or at least an explanation. No, both. He blinked. If there was one thing you could count on, it was Derek Suarez wouldn't do you wrong. Not intentionally, anyway. Huh? About what? Well, it's obvious. I had asked you to marry me, in a way, and I almost didn't realize this was the year it was supposed to happen. How inconsiderate can I get? That outburst sapped him of all energy. Derek's shoulders slumped and his tone dropped even lower. You know what? You should apologize for that, because that was so fucking rude. My feelings were so hurt. We'd been apart for a long time. Looks like I was in denial about how long. Days, weeks, months, and years just went by before I even knew it. Boo-hoo, shut up, Darius. You're ruining the moment. It couldn't be the deadline already, I thought. No way, especially with how not grown up I felt and how non-figured out everything was. But it was true. The summer when we were 33 was the year I picked. Is it good or bad timing that this marriage pact plan coincided with my career crisis? I don't know. The rhetorical question lingered. Then a bit of humor returned to Derek's darkened features. Actually, I do. It is for the best that all of this happened now. We could work the whole mess out in one, though that was also part of why I lost sight of things. I don't want you to think it meant nothing because of that. It's not that it didn't matter to me. It mattered so much I couldn't even face it. I had to run away. Derek almost cracked from the self-imposed pressure. His voice did break. I mentioned some of it already, but asking you to marry me if there was no one else wasn't one of those wild impulsive stunts I pull sometimes. I really thought it through, as in, I thought through all the ways I could maybe be with you without daring to just ask you to be with me. He's a professional yapper. I feel like all of these characters are professional yappers. I hinged a lot of hopes on that plan, but it was wishful thinking to see it as a solution. It doesn't work that way. His gaze parted from yours. He had nothing in particular to take his attention, so Derek was simply staring straight ahead. The future's looking bright, Kingsley. I love the city and my family, but honestly, I'm pumped to start something new. It's like I've gotten off a treadmill for the first time in over a decade. I'm actually going forward. It thrilled you to see Derek bursting with real optimism, not simply wanting and hoping that it would be okay in the face of fears, but having certainty that it would be good. You both embraced what was coming next with open arms. That's what I like to hear. I'm looking forward to it. Here's to us, Derek. I think you've earned that. You smell it probably. Here's to us, Derek. To us. His heavy arm wrapped around your shoulders. He curled it in, bringing you closer towards him, and his lips were on your cheek. Giggle. Giggle! It couldn't be helped with the way his breath tickled your skin. He liked that, though. Derek rubbed your back lovingly. Hey, your parents told me the story of how they got together. Oh, why not? Why not just mention that? Oh, yeah, the lunchroom showdown. Pretty funny, huh? My dad told me that he loved to remind the rest of the team how Irene may not like footballers, but she did like him. Very cute. You really are a lot like your dad. You're both so earnest. You're so different from your dad. I can't even imagine with an ego. That's good, but it doesn't beat your marriage pact. Very cute. Yeah. You know, if If I ever have a great team again, I'll be sure to tell them how Kingsley liked me before I made it. Or I can even tell my future coworkers. Whoever. Perfect. You and your darling boyfriend remain snug together, cuddly and adoring to a degree that would certainly be embarrassing to outsiders if there were any around. And then a swooping sound snatched your attention away from Derek. The sliding door had been opened. The youngest son skipped in, as if invited, and the middle child followed after. Jorge was less cheeky, but equally unrepentant. Hi, Derek. Hi, Kingsley. Hello. What's going on? Derek flung his head back in a groan. He let go of you with all the begrudging frustration of a teen boy caught canoodling under the bleachers by the teacher. Not again. Every damn time. There's no privacy anywhere, even in my own house. Nicholas handled the childish display with unearned airs of maturity. His poise was tall. He cut an accusing finger through the air. You're the one who invited us over. If you wanted to be alone with Kingsley, why did you throw a party with several other people? Buddy's pins up. That was a strong point. Worse still for Derek, Jorge had an even better one. Honestly confused by his big brother's reaction, he plainly stated a key consideration. The whole side of the apartment's glass. We can see everything happening without opening the door. Coming over feels more polite to me than watching from the inside. At that, Derek snorted a laugh. He was less ashamed of what you were doing than Nicholas was for interrupting it. Fine. It made sense to get together one more time before he left, but I'm regretting being so reasonable now. One of these days, we might learn to be more self-centered, and then you'll be sorry. I kind of doubt that. The part about you being ever being selfish, not as being sorry over it. Yeah, sorry bro, that's not happening. Oh, don't be mad, Derek. I'm happy having Jorge and Nico around. No, I'm with Derek. Party's over. Everyone go home. I forgot how much of a problem this kind of thing was. Jorge, Nicholas, that's not right. Got at least knocked. I'll go with that one. Me too. What a mistake. Yeah, that was on you. Oh, come on, Nico. Do you really want to be so bad that it's everyone else's fault if they don't expect you being an issue? Actually, I do. They can watch? Oh my, no. But that couldn't be the end of it. Trouble came in threes. Your own sibling appeared from behind. She leaned against the doorway, leering at the scene. Romancing out in the open with all your siblings or parents were right there? I had no idea the two of you were so indulgent. One rotten apple spoiled the rest. Nicholas and Jorge had originally barged in with the pure intention of being with you. Now they were snickering over Liz's jabs at your and Derek's expense. Sorry we couldn't babysit you the whole time, Liz. Ooh. Of course this happened. Why expect anything else? That's what Derek's wryly lifted brows seemed to express. You know, we were just talking about how self-absorbed I am, and how it's not enough in my opinion. From even further in the house, Mr. Suarez waved a hand propped over your sister's head. It is okay, we're fine on our own. Enjoy your time together. The way Liz talks gets old fast. Like me voicing her, or like just like her character. Cause I'm tired of this. We're finishing this, and we're not touching this game until next February. Your parents were bursting with laughter, ineffectively trying to model that staying quiet would have been less obtrusive than enjoying the situation. Oh really? Dad, your trouble estimates were proven to be highly underestimated. It didn't come in three, it came in as many amounts as physically possible. Mrs. Suarez came to get her husband, clearing a path through Liz, Jorge, and Nicholas. Her verbiage, okay, yeah. She's very hoity, like hoity-toity, haughty, kind of like. I kind of fucks with her, but like at the same time, it's like, okay, girl, calm down. She escorted him back to the couch without fuss, but no amount of cordialness on her end could smooth out this three-ring circus. Derek barely saw the retreating forms of his abashed parents, of your giggling moms, or even though the siblings watching and waiting for what would happen next. His arms were folded and his brain was working. You and he had become the center of the universe, and that wouldn't do. In the end, Mr. Reliable himself went for his oldest, most reliable solution to awkward situations. Hey, look over there! At what? While the others were clearly distracted by Derek's fantastic ploy, said mastermind slid nearer to you and whispered intently, Run. You nodded imperceptibly to everyone but Derek, whose focus was set entirely on seeing the gesture. You both knew what had to be done. Your hand found his, and and his yours, without tearing your eyes from the target and escape route. Out the front! You dashed to the opening left by Mrs. Suarez, speeding by Liz before she could block the way again. The elders were shocked, the younger ones were shouting, but you didn't stop. Through the gap in the sliding glass door, past the couches, and out the apartment's entrance, you and Derek ditched the whole party in a blink. Together, you flew down the stairs. There was no patience to wait for an elevator. Once on the ground level, you exploded through the last of doors in your path and onto the sidewalk, leaving laughter and joy in your wake. You may have escaped the building, but who knew if they'd follow you out? That wasn't something you'd put past your siblings. The hand gripping yours still held tight. Derek encouraged you along, beaming wide. Oop, okay. Let's go. Make sure you keep up. Okay, let's go. Okay. Friends, lovers, partners in crime, formerly conditional fiancés. No matter the circumstances, you and Derek were always a team, and together you were unstoppable. In Derek's bright eyes, you saw reflections of your past. That first day you met, when he bounded up to you so unafraid, the time he'd much less bravely bolted from a very cross Elizabeth. Your grand exit from a different party, one you hadn't been invited to. And the moment you arrived in Prism City in the Prism City bus station such a short and long time ago, when he'd come running for you. Each happy moment you experienced became only a memory of what used to be, but that's what life was, and it was okay. Right then you were running side by side. You wouldn't take it for granted. You wouldn't waste a chance. Instead, you would keep going for as long as your feet could carry you. As it should be, you and Derek took another step forward and then another. Forward and forward and forward, down the glistening city street and towards the rest of your lives. Thank you for beginning a life here. Okay. You can come back again always. The end. Wow. Lovely. Okay. And we finally finished Derek's DLC. I'm so happy about that. I'm clapping. Whew. The end screen, there we go. You guys so much for joining me for today. It is Friday. I will be posting the schedule probably on Sunday. I'm not streaming Monday. Going forward, I will be only streaming once a day, but I'm hoping to do longer streams. So, who knows what the schedule is looking like? I don't know yet, but that is what it's gonna be. So it'll be probably maybe a longer Animal Crossing stream. We're gonna play Pokemon for longer. We might add Stardew in there. It all just depends on what days I plan on streaming. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking by me through this change. And also thank you for joining me for today's stream. I want to see something. You guys want to go watch someone play Planet Coaster? Someone's on playing Planet Coaster. I'm gonna drop the raid message. That's not the raid message. And if you could ever so lovingly copy and paste that into the chat, we're about to raid. We're going to raid Planet Kenya. Yeah. Oh, she's starting soon, so just in time. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the stream again. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, year, and life. Have a nice weekend, and I hope to see you in the next stream. Bye!